Gonna start the board meeting. Chris, I'm turned to the wrong side. Here we go. I'd like to do a roll call.
Okay. Carmen,
Present.
Lisette, not here yet. Pete,
Here.
Brianna,
Here.
Mary Beth, here. Maverick,
Here.
and Martin.
Here.
We have quorum.
Thank you. We're now going to do our Pledge of Allegiance. All right, our next item is approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion? Sorry. So moved. All right.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Passes 4+2.
All right, our next item, 2, Spotlight the Coastside Way. We have a community celebration. We're recognizing our Half Moon Bay High School PTO leaders, Amber Sarija and Daniel Swim, and the PTO board for outstanding support, school programs, staff appreciation, and Challenge Day funding and support.
Good evening, Madam President Daniel, esteemed board members, Superintendent Dr. Miramontes, colleagues, and staff. This evening, I have the distinct honor of presenting several certificates of recognition to remarkable individuals whose contributions and dedication had made a lasting impact on our students and our community. Our first certificates go to our incredible PTO leaders whose ongoing commitment and enthusiasm continually enrich the lives of our students at Half Moon Bay High School and also uplift our staff. Please join me on congratulating Daniel Swim and Amber Starlia. Yeah. In addition, we have the following individuals. The next group of honors, they work very collaboratively and purposefully to promote students' wellness and academic success. Their efforts include supporting students through conflict resolution and strengthening our staff capacity to implement restorative practices. We are proud to recognize John Neiman, Shanti Bichar, Ali Michelotti, Lauren Hicks, and Dr. Devin Kirk. Please give them a big round of applause. All right.
Thank you, Dr. Castillo. That takes us to item 2A, Half Moon Bay. Oh, wait, no, we did that. Sorry. Looks like 2B, recognition of restorative therapist coordinator Lauren Hicks. Wait, did we do that? Oh, right. We did. Okay, sorry. Thank you. Thank you. Now, the other 2B. Okay. We're now on to our Half Moon Bay High School presentation. Is that Mr. Boyson? Thank you.
As a point of, I just want to make some quick comments before our honorees leave at any point of the meeting. I just want to say thank you for your time. Thank you to the restorative justice, to all the people. It really is important to look outside of the box and help those who aren't seen or heard. So thank you so much. Also, thank you to the parents for your time and your dedication, because it's, you could be easily, comfortably at home, spending your time with your family, and the fact that you're doing this means a lot. It really does take a community to support a community. And, it's so nice to see that the kids are here, of some of you, and just know that even though they're not directly doing it for you, they're doing it for a better future for you, and they're making the community a better place for you, even though it seems like, mom's always out and about or not there. But it really, at the end of the core of everything, it is, we do it for our kids, even though sometimes they don't see it right away. But so thank you, everybody who dedicates their time and is here and helps the children in our community. Thank you so much. Muchas gracias.
Sorry. Good evening, board members, governing board members, Dr. Miramontes, superintendent, and all other CUSD leadership that are in attendance this evening. I also would like to add to Ms. Cortez's notes of appreciation for our PTO leaders so very much, and the board members who give so much of their time and support to Half Moon Bay High School in enriching our students' lives. And there's a common theme to the people I want to recognize. We had a very successful challenge day recently. PTO funded that wonderful event, and the people who were present this evening as well contributed so much to the success of that day, and also to add to, as a district, the concentration on the whole student, the whole child, that our social emotional learning and mental health wellness are so very important. And even at the high school, though academics is essential for so many things, we can't privilege one over the other. So that's why I wanted to recognize our school counselors, our wellness coordinator, Betcher, and our restorative therapy coordinator, Lauren Hicks. So thank you very much. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and move to the agenda. I timed myself, so I'm already past time, so I'm going to get rolling here, make sure that I stick as close as I can to that. First, I would like to introduce my administrative team, who I'm so very grateful to work with. It's wonderful to wake up each morning and work with these two people. Lisa Longacre, Assistant Principal of Curriculum and Instruction. She was formerly a CTE coordinator at Half Moon Bay High School, and she is also, or was also, a longtime Cunha Intermediate School teacher. So, Ms. Longacre. And Christian Aguilar, our Assistant Principal of Student Services. He was an instructional coach, a two-way bilingual immersion teacher. But the thing is at Half Moon Bay High and Cabrillo Unified School District is that we're a small shop, and all three of us don't remain siloed in the one thing that we do, but collaborate as best we can to provide the best education and support for our families. Thank you both so much. Okay, so next up, alignment. I want to talk a bit about how Half Moon Bay aligns itself with CUSD and our strategic goals, which many of you are already aware of. And there's three key ones here: academic improvement, equity focus, and the whole child. Now, Half Moon Bay High School is part of district sustainability, but really these three things also drive our other goals that we develop at our school. So last spring, we had a WASC accreditation, and that was very successful. We were granted a 6-year period of time to be fully accredited. And as part of that, we had to develop our vision and mission. And to sort of boil down what that is we want to provide mixed educational opportunities for our student. We want to work collaboratively with our educational partners, particularly our families, prepare our students for post-secondary life, enhance their critical thinking and communication skills, and to grow a sense of determination to stick with and see through the goals they want to achieve. We also had to develop student learner outcomes, and those are perseverance, respect, inclusivity, discipline, and engagement. Now, our general academic profile, of course, is to meet California Department of Education and CUSD graduation requirements, and to also have our students meet UC and CSU A through G readiness. Also, a rigorous and meaningful curriculum and instruction focusing on college and career readiness, site-wide comprehensive literacy growth. And that has always been a focus of mine going back to when I was an English teacher and ELD teacher. We also offer 21 advanced placement and honors courses and a growing career tech educational pathway program. Sorry, I've got a duplicate here at the top. Hang on. In addition, we have dual enrollment opportunities, which we wish to grow. We have a 4-year AVID program. And recently, we launched a youth cinema project, which Dr. Miramontes was essential at bringing forth with some connections that he already had, that we grew in Southern California, and brought that program up here. And our students are very excited about that, and I'm looking forward to the future growth of that program. Our counselors give academic personal learning plans, and there is also a real-life learning program. So when we think of alignment, we look at we got the LCAP, which Half Moon Bay High School should always have in its vision, connecting that with the SIPSA, the School Plan for Student Achievement, and our WASC action plan. These are all key things to focus on academic goals for this goal number 1, which is academic goals, improve performance indicators with particular emphasis on our at-promise subgroups. So we see an alignment between those 3 elements that run through Cabrillo Unified School District to the high school. Our second goal is post-secondary preparation with an emphasis on our at-promise subgroups. And then our third goal is to promote engagement with both students and families, creating a welcoming environment where people are comfortable at Half Moon Bay High School. And our fourth goal is to complement academic support with social emotional learning, which we recognize this evening. So again, looking at the idea of the whole student, how can we complement our strengths and make people feel welcome, feel like they belong, feel like they can achieve academically, and be engaged in their time at Half Moon Bay High School. To go over enrollment data, I know most of you are aware that enrollment has dropped at Cabrillo Unified School District, and Half Moon Bay is no different, but it is quite significant from 2023, where we had almost 1,000 students, to now just below 850. Despite that, we still like to offer a wide range of AP and honors courses, as well as grow our CTE pathway. So though we're a small school, smaller enrollment, when you take a look at the offerings that we have and compare it to other larger schools, better funded schools within the county, you'll see that we compare very well. Other demographic data subgroups, you can see that there really hasn't been much change here. It's sort of been the same way with stability of our subgroup populations. And then next, our gender as well remains balanced and stable compared with other years. And our graduation data, which is also stable over the last 3 years. Now, next up is discuss our state testing. Our CAST scores, you have English, math, You have science, ELA, and the LPAC. We did make progress in the 23-24 school year, and I was hoping for an upward trend, but unfortunately, we trended downward in the 24-25 school year. So we made a big push to get all our testers to meet the threshold of 95% participation. Student incentive is a concern here, but that's not the whole problem. We need to be much more clearly focused on going forward. What are we going to do to change this? Because some of these figures I find very surprising, and I also believe they are not representative of the ability levels of our students. So why is that happening? So again, we've been up and down, sort of see how it works. 23, we're at a spot, 24, we're up, 25, we're down. So that kind of flows through most of this data that we have here. You see our comparison with California, and that we are below the state average. And with science, which I find particularly puzzling to me. We changed testers from the 12th grade to the 11th grade, and the reason was so that we could have students closer to their last year of science. And we have a 2-year science requirement. For UC, if you take a physical science, or A through G readiness, you take a physical science, a biological science, and if that physical science is chemistry, then you meet that requirement. But we have a robust science program, we have stable staff, a lot of offerings. I know we have highly proficient students taking this, and it's something which, again, we're going to have to work on and figure out how to address this as soon as possible. LPAC, it's unfortunately the same sort of story when it comes to that, but not so much of a disparity. And when we think of how LPAC is broken down, this gives you a sense of where our students are with the different levels, level 4, 3, 2, and 1. We have 22 students in ELD. We have no students in ELD 1, and we have 40 LTEL students. And those are the students, of course, we want to nurture, we want to grow our ELD students' proficiency in English, but our 40 LTEL students, long-term English learners, that is something that we really want to try to promote so that they can become reclassified as fully English proficient. And so we're going to work on promotion with that. On the other side, though, is that we see that our advanced placement data is rising. So our AP scores, almost 81% of our test takers score 3 or above. So they're passing the AP test at that rate, which is a high rate. But I certainly don't want to tail 2 schools. And so I need to figure out how to make sure that is mitigated and dealt with as soon as we can, and throughout this year and the years to come. Our A through, I didn't put A through G data or college career indicator data or CL by literacy data on slides because I wasn't quite sure if I had accurate things at the time of the deadline, but I have found what I believe is the most accurate data. Now our A through G readiness in 23 was 59%, in 24 is 39, and in 25 is 36. What's puzzling is year after the pandemic, we have 59% that are A through G or at-home learning, A through G ready, and now removed from the pandemic, that number is going down. So that is concerning as well. But on the other hand, our college and career indicator is continuing to grow. So in 23, it was 35%, in 24, it was 45%, and in 25, it was 49%. So in that indicator, we continue to move forward. I apologize for not having the data to review, but A through G, trending downward, college and career readiness, trending upward, and then our CL by literacy is staying stable with about 30 students per year. Our CTE program, which has really grown and flowered and built out over the last few years, we have 7 pathways. I'm not going to read those all in detail, but they're a mix. Everything from agri-science, building construction trades, fine arts. So a lot going on there. and to meet the needs of diverse interest at our school. Over 50% of our students are taking one form of a CTE class or another. We have some photos from building and construction trades, from agri-science, we have from welding, from our digital design class, floriculture. So lots of different things, as I said, for different people's interest. Our real-life learning program, generously funded by the Cabrillo Education Foundation, continues to pick up Christina Frediani, who's the new coordinator, after Ms. Hoffman made some significant changes, and continues to provide those community service opportunities which are pegged to align with students' personal interest and make that requirement all the more meaningful to fulfill. Again, focusing on our social emotional learning theme for this evening, I do want to recognize our wonderful counselors, other mental health providers, and just all the things that they do. I really also want to commend Lauren Hicks for what she's brought to school with the restorative practices. And it's in the classroom, it's how we deal with students when there's conflicts, mitigating those conflicts, conflict resolution. It's really a wonderful, positive thing, and I've learned so much through her and collaborating with others. So very thankful for that, as well as Ms. Betcher's counseling, extended counseling, and drop-in counseling that she does as well. Our athletic program is very robust. We have 561 duplicated athletes. That means that's how many participants in a sport. And a lot of our sports, anybody can play them. Try something new, learn a new experience. There's not that sort of competition. Basketball and volleyball are a little more competitive, but a lot of the other sports, if you want to walk onto the field or into the court, whatever it might be, one is welcome. So our athletics, again, I want to give a nod to our female flag football season. It's the inaugural season this year, in addition to the other sports that we've had in the past. And more athletics here of different types. And then a gallery of Half Moon Bay life in its many forms, as well as another gallery. Homecoming was quite the event this year, but it was good. Everybody got excited about it. I do also want to recognize our educational partners, parent-teacher organization, who I work with and collaborate with the most, Cougar Boosters, who help support, obviously, our athletic program, Cabrillo Education Foundation, Friends of Cougar in Concert, Ag Boosters, San Mateo Community College District Partners, HMBHS Rotary, and the very many local businesses, families, and individuals who support Half Moon Bay High School. So, all right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Are there any questions?
I have a few questions.
Sure.
I missed it. You said CTE, what was the percentage you said of kids that
50.
were in? 50.
At least taking one.
Wow.
Yeah, so
That's great.
That's grown quite a bit.
Okay, and I got a question about the graduation data.
Yes.
So how do you take kids from the start of the year and see how many of their senior year and see how many graduate at the end of the year, or is it from when they're freshmen to senior? How does that work?
My understanding is enrollment at the time of graduation.
Okay, so if they dropped out during their senior year, that wouldn't be reflected in the data.
Oh, I thought you were talking about a transfer. So
Sorry.
if people transfer to another school, then they wouldn't be factored in. But
No.
if they just stop showing and there's no evidence that they've transferred to
Correct.
another educational
Correct, or
institute,
they flunk.
they
Or
would stay on our
they just
on our
leave.
enrollment.
So they would be on the enrollment even if they
If they were,
flunked out
say they
and
just
stopped coming.
stop coming to school.
Okay, so
Yes,
that's
yes.
included then.
Yes.
So, okay. And we see it just the senior year. So if they dropped out freshman, sophomore, junior, that wouldn't be reflected in that data.
Well, in that case, with those students that young, we would be on those individuals to make sure that they're enrolled somewhere else.
Okay.
And then probably, working with the county through the SAR process,
Okay.
make sure that they attend, or some, because they are our responsibility, and unless they're enrolled somewhere else,
we have to continue to follow up there.
And you do that through them being 18 or through their senior year, or like, is there a cutoff for that?
It depends. If someone has an IEP, that continues until they're older, into their early 20s.
Okay.
But I just want to make sure I understand what you're asking, though, because if we graduate in June, and
I guess if they drop out their junior year, I mean, if they're like over 16, are you not responsible for following up with them? Or
Oh,
is
no,
there some
yeah,
rules
no,
I don't
yeah.
know about?
Sure.
So basically, you're following up with every kid, trying to make sure they're in school until they either graduate their senior year or don't graduate their senior year.
right, so if we have chronic absenteeism, then continuing to follow through, work it along the process of notifying the parents, notifying the county, leading to the SAR process, law enforcement. Those are all tools which do that. But again, if people are still technically enrolled and it hasn't been proved otherwise that they entered somebody else.
Got it.
But as far as the annual update, I don't know if that's going to continue even if that information isn't updated.
Yeah,
So,
that's great.
yeah.
I mean, I'm just wondering if kids fall through the cracks if they quit coming, I guess, or if there's rules around that. Okay. And I'm glad that you're really looking into the scores. It sounds like it's a priority for you to look at the scores going down, and I think that's really important. So I'm glad to see that, digging through the data. And then my last thing I had a question about was I didn't see anything about concurrent. Of course, I have to ask this. I didn't see anything about concurrent enrollment on there. Is there a reason for that, or what's going on with concurrent enrollment?
Well, as of now, it's continuing to be offered, but to be honest, it's not in the board policy. We have a CCAP agreement for dual enrollment, and we have concurrent enrollment, which is, as far as my reading of the policy, is connected to middle college arrangement, but there's nothing explicit that says at all that someone can concurrently enroll at a secondary vendor. It's just not there.
Well, okay, I think we're confusing what concurrent enrollment is, because our policy that we made a couple years ago on concurrent enrollment is specifically for the concurrent enrollment agreement that we have with the College of San Mateo.
But that's a dual enrollment agreement. It's a CCAP agreement.
My understanding, I could be,
Okay.
my understanding is dual enrollment is when the college teacher comes to the high school campus and they get college and high school credit there. But concurrent enrollment, which is a separate agreement, is when the kids go to CSM, either online or in person, and get college and high school. And I think we've had a misunderstanding of semantics. But my understanding is they're different, and my understanding was when we made the concurrent enrollment policy, that was specific for kids that were going to the College of San Mateo, not receiving that education on our campus.
So, I do know the distinction. The thing is, the language isn't explicit about that at all, and it certainly doesn't include secondary educational vendors.
I agree with that.
Okay.
I agree. My understanding of concurrent enrollment in our policy is not secondary vendors. It is specific to our agreement with College of San Mateo for kids going to that campus that are also getting credit at the high school.
So now we would approve those who want to go to community college for their own sake, but the issue of whether or not that it actually applies to their graduation requirement, I don't know.
That's what our policy says, concurrent enrollment.
I don't think it's that explicit, though.
We
I
actually,
mean, that's my understanding of the meaning of the word. And
Yeah.
the policy is concurrent enrollment.
yes, you're correct, Mary Beth. We did look at that, and I think we had an interpretation where the community was feeling that they could pick any vendor. You and I had that conversation, and Andy followed through with that, said, look, we're looking at these other online charters that aren't the same caliber as the community college, or even the Cal State system, if kids want to do. And so we are working through that now. I know that Leticia was working through that grid and offering that opportunity so that parents understood the opportunities that are out there.
Right, but that's not concurrent enrollment.
No.
Concurrent enrollment is not a secondary high school
No,
or anything.
no.
It's specifically
With-
our concurrent enrollment agreement with San Mateo.
With San Mateo Community College, correct.
Right.
And the dual enrollment is like what we have, I think, the broadcasting,
Mr. Olson.
Mr. Olson, who actually has been authorized by the community college to teach and give credit.
That's dual enrollment.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Just want to make sure everybody's clear about that.
But we're apparently not clear, because I had this conversation with Leticia before she left, and she's like, yeah, there's a misunderstanding of semantics. When that policy was made, it was supposed to just be for concurrent enrollment at the college. So I don't know, it sounds like we're still having misunderstandings
we have the
about
graphic.
what the word means.
Yeah,
Because that was the intent of the policy that we made, right? So,
Correct.
Okay.
And we have the graphic. I think we'll have to pull that out. Maybe next year we can show, or I can share that with the board as well, what that actually states, what it is. Because we did work it out with Leticia. We've got the graphic organizer. It's very clear on what one is and what one isn't. But we probably should include concurrent enrollment data here next year to say, hey, 10% of our students are enrolled in concurrent enrollment. It's an opportunity for them.
well, I doubt it's that high, because people don't know about
Well,
it.
that's what I'm
Right,
saying.
yeah, right.
That's why that graphic organizer was so important, so people understood the opportunity to do so, right?
Okay, well, I think we're having semantic
Yeah.
issues, but we'll figure it out. Okay, cool.
Can I
Can I
happy
ask
to
a
work-
question on this?
I'd be happy to look at the policy and go through it with anybody. So, yeah.
So regarding this, and it might be a question for you. So I recently, this school year, because of 7 periods and not getting a 7th period in the block schedule, timing of when a kid, I don't know, there's something about open time for the child. So they are taking a class at San Mateo College so that they had something during that time. So are you saying that should count, like, in their GPA or for credits?
So that would be a concurrent enrollment class, and under our policy, then they would get college credit at the college and also high school credit for that class.
Does that include GPA?
Yes.
It would,
Well,
Yes, it would actually lead to a grade bump.
oh.
yeah, because it's a
Yep. Just like
advanced course
Just like
or
taking an
whatever.
AP course, if you pass the test,
Piggyback off of that question. So
depending on the course, sorry. Yeah.
the dual enrollment, is it only San Mateo County? Or just other universities?
We can partner with Kenyatta or Skyline. It's for the entire San Mateo Community College District.
Got it.
Our problem is our bell schedule makes it difficult to have those teachers match up with the rotating block.
Got it.
And it's with them specifically because we have an agreement with them. And then we also have one with Feather River College, right?
It
For-
is.
for
It's-
our ag
I don't even
program.
know if that was completed yet. I'm not sure.
I think we saw it here
okay.
at a board meeting and we approved it, so,
But the course doesn't exist right now. Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
okay.
It's not, our teacher isn't concurrently teaching that.
Oh, I
course.
thought
Yeah,
they were,
yeah.
okay.
It was, try to lay the groundwork, if I understand correctly,
Yeah.
for that, but
I
Ms.
mean, my
Longenko
point
knows
is like, we
more
can't
about
just
that.
do it with any college, like it's a specific concurrent enrollment agreement we have, or a dual enrollment agreement we have with with whatever
The
college.
difficulty there is articulation means that you take a class, but you're expected to go to that campus. So you can only have those credits at Feather River College. We wouldn't want to do that because our students live here and that is
Right,
about
fair.
a
Unless it was online, I
5.5 hour
guess.
drive away.
Yeah, if it's online, they could do
But it's
it.
on that transcript. It wouldn't be moved over to our transcript. As
Because,
an articulation agreement, which is different than full concurrent enrollment.
what's an articulation agreement?
We used to have one with Kenyatta, but Lisa can speak to it in greater detail. She's worked a lot with it.
So the law actually changed recently, and it used to be that we used to have to get permission from our community college district to have a CCAP agreement with another community college district, but that has changed. So we can have agreements with outside community college districts now, additional CCAP agreements. The issue is of semantics, kind of like both of you are saying. So dual enrollment by definition means that the classes have to take place on the high school campus, whether it is a qualified high school teacher that meets the minimum qualifications or a teacher coming from the community college, it has to take place on the high school campus. Concurrent enrollment, and that's one of the issues with the policy, is I think when it was created, there was a misunderstanding of the definition of concurrent enrollment, All that concurrent enrollment is allowing high school students up to the community college cap of 15 units to take college courses while they are also in high school for their college transcript. There is no other high school in the county that is allowing credit substitution for that or putting it on the high school transcript but us. So that's one of the issues, right? And a lot of these courses are not necessarily CSM, for example. I just went to a meeting there about 2 weeks ago with one of our counselors, and they're changing some of their course. There's also a lot of changes in courses that happen there. So our kids don't necessarily have the prerequisites for certain courses. Our counselors can't be expected to also be college counselors and know all of that information, right? So I'm all for dual enrollment. I wish that we had more on our campus. So that continues to be a challenge for us. I'm all for concurrent enrollment, but it's just unfortunately that's for kids to sort of advance and get things on their college transcript early. But the problem is the high school transcript, if that makes sense.
That's interesting, because like that was definitely not the understanding
Right.
with the superintendent and the assistant superintendent of curriculum instruction and the board when that policy was made. So,
Yeah.
okay, well, that's good. I mean, we got to figure that out.
All right, thank you.
So actually, building off of that, I just learned recently that we have a student who's taking high-level math classes at Stanford's online school. How does that fold into what we're talking about here? So that, first of all, how common is that? Do we have situations where students are taking classes at other schools besides Stanford online? And then how does that work in terms of their transcripts? Just out of curiosity.
Well, currently, yes, we do have students taking at a variety of different vendors.
I got you. And do the students negotiate that on the families?
They do.
Okay.
The issue is that was a directive. Like, you need to do this.
Right.
It's the policy, so it opened it up to, again, any WASC accredited vendor.
Got it.
Well,
Okay.
but then it was misinterpreted, right? So then I think what happened was people were interpreting concurrent enrollment to also mean any secondary school. And so it was being way opened up that shouldn't have been too. So that, whatever, follow through wasn't there, but we know it's a problem now. And I think for a while too, I just wasn't understanding the why we weren't on the same page, right? So makes sense. One other thing I just wanted to say to the board members, the only reason we've looked of going outside of San Mateo community colleges for our concurrent enrollment, dual enrollment stuff is when they don't offer the courses that we need at our local community college. Like for the ag program, Feather River College, it's 5 hours away, but they have a lot of ag stuff. So that was trying to complete our pathway and get those kids on track to be able to go to that school, so.
So I have a number of questions, but I want to make sure, anybody? So obviously, these numbers are disappointing.
Yes.
Yeah, and I just want to unpack these because I want to get a sense of what's going on, and people have asked me to ask questions, so I'm going to try my best to ask them. To begin with, there appears to be a huge gap between the high and sort of higher and lower academic achievers. Can you unpack that and help us understand, is that the reality? That seems what the numbers are suggesting. And then what are the reasons for this? And then a follow-up question, what are we doing what are the plans to address it?
So one way I could go about it is saying an AP test gives student college credit. They're highly motivated to take that exam.
Right.
A CASP test has absolutely no bearing whatsoever on graduation requirement, GPA. So right away that's a difficult, trying to get the student to have intrinsic motivation to take something with complete earnestness and do the best they possibly can. Some could say preparation wasn't as thorough. Preparing for students, you have to take away from the current curriculum and instruction and target this test for part of the instructional period of time. Some teachers are resistant to doing that, but that could be part of the problem and something which we need to address. Our staffing has not been inconsistent in math and in math, science, and English, or Spanish for that matter. So I'm not sure what's happening there.
So you're saying that there has been consistency in staffing, so that's not necessarily like a high turnover problem or something?
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
okay.
I don't, that's what's perplexing about it as well.
Okay.
A lot of schools do promotion, they have assemblies, they really work on giving it a high profile when it comes to messaging that over a sustained period of time and really trying to get the heart and the mind of that intrinsic motivation to do their best, because I really don't believe these represent their performance levels. It just seen the drops in ELA and in science. I know math we have struggled. It's been a struggle for some time in some other, obviously other high schools and school districts. But those two things, ELA and science, I just do not understand those significant drops.
So I guess another question that's sort of in line with this is, I'm concerned that our graduation numbers are high. They beat the state average, which is great, but then we have this low testing. So again, I guess it's sort of the answer, it sounds like, is a mystery as to why there's this disconnect, and that's something that you're going to focus on to try and figure that out.
Sure, and you have the graduation rate high, but the A through G is not where we would like it to be. It's usually comfortable in the 50 to 60 range, and over years. So again, that's another very, very deep concern of mine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
Can I say something on that?
Yes, please. Sorry.
So when it comes to like the CASP testing, I was going to mention it in my report here just to talk about it. Like it doesn't affect our grades at all. So many kids that I've heard just like click through it in like 10 minutes. Like it should take, in my math class, my math teacher forced us to do the entire thing and would grade it because she wanted us to practice. But most students just like blow through it as fast as they can, and it's just like a motivation thing. Like there's nothing to motivate them to do it. Whereas on the AP test, like you obviously paid for the test and you've been taking that class the whole year and you'll get college credits. So I don't know how to fix that, but you shouldn't look at that data and be super worried also, I think.
I mean, I am super worried. I appreciate what you're saying. I am super worried about it, but okay. A couple other questions. I heard you say something about college readiness. I didn't see anything in the report.
Yeah.
Do we have a sense of, are our students college ready? Do we hear from our students when they go off to school? Do they give us feedback, and are we collecting that data?
Yes. So the state of California just released the dashboard information to the public, and one of the indicators that they've been holding it back from district level administrators was what's called the college career indicator.
Okay.
And that has multiple measures, probably like, I want to say about 11 different measures. It could be AP scores, it could be the CAPS scores, CTE completers, internships. I'm trying to think of it. I know there's several, I have them in my folder over there, but that's all factored into a number. We've had some troubles over the last couple of years with making sure that our reporting, like we had 1 year A through G wasn't reported, so we didn't look so good, okay? Now we're trying to get it right again, but I think we're still going through perhaps some growing pains with when it comes to the Power School and the upload to CalPads. There's several things that I think still need to be worked out, because looking at the data today, I couldn't quite figure out, okay, it says this on this page that we're at 60 some odd % with A through G readiness, but you look at another page, it shows our accurate at 36. So am I reading the tables wrong? Is there something that I'm not getting right? And I've asked, I reached out to Mr. Castillo today to see if we could sit down and try to figure out what's happening here. For example, we had more completers than that are listed in the CTE, which is a big indicator. It helps build things. I mean, next year in this spring and the years following, we're going to have a significant number of completers, and that's going to really help us out as well. We already have AP is going to boost us up, but we need A through G, and we need CASP, and it's all thrown into the mix as well.
Because that would be an indicator that could address, the discrepancy and maybe the students not taking the assessment seriously. That if they're ready for college, that's an indication that at least the students that are on that track, are getting what they need from us. The other thing, just to toss this out there, it might be interesting to look at, is there something we can do internally with our graduates to say, hey, we're going to send you a survey in December, or whatever, fill it out, and then we could get data on, did we prepare you for, something like that would be easy to do, it seems like, through email or something. But anyway, the next question is, and I think maybe you touched on this, but do we have a way of assessing our graduates' success for those who don't go to college?
And so that's the issue. If more students go to community college than they go to a four-year university. So if they realize that early on in their education, though we want to promote them to be A through G ready, they might choose to change that. So that's going to affect that indicator. But what we're trying to do is we have National Clearinghouse as a database. I think it's coupled with our Power School, but we haven't really leveraged them enough to see where our students attend post-secondary and how many do get an AA or satisfy their GE at a community college, and of those, how many go to a four-year school. So that data, I don't know if I exactly answered your question.
Well, I'm curious, how many of them find gainful employment, or I don't know, how would you collect that data? But that's another concern, or not a concern, but a question I have is, we have a lot of students who are not going to go to college. That's not going to be their path. And are we preparing those students? And I'm aware of the programs that we have. Another question that one of the constituents asked me to ask is, how many of our students who complete the CTE go into that career? And that would be a sort of a similar question. Do we have data that suggests that the people who go through that program are prepared and are getting jobs?
We do, but it's very difficult. Ms. Longacre has gone through the process of trying to contact those graduates because by personal contact, and she could talk more about how tricky that is.
So with regard to your question, CTE does require an annual survey. So
great.
That goes out in January. That has all of these questions, right? We follow up on all the students that graduated the year prior. Because I taught in the district for so long and I know all the students, I don't harass them for lack of a better word, but I usually get about a 50% response rate, which is unheard of, right? All the other districts say 10% tops. And so they usually go to the National Clearinghouse and that sort of thing. Our district has not really been able to access that data for me to date. But so yes, we do get a lot of that information. I see that it is a state problem, honestly. I think the state needs to figure out a way to track better because to put that on the individual districts is very difficult, right? Once kids leave, they leave and they move on with their lives, and that's really the way that it should be. But so it is hard to know, like that next year I find out where they are, if they're full-time employed, if they're going to school, if what they're going to school for, or their employment is related to their pathway. But after that year, we don't find out.
And so that's impressive. If you get 50%, what does the data show?
The data shows that most of them, CTE completers, in general, the data shows are 10% more likely than other students to go on to post-secondary studies and actually finish them and stay, because in the United States, we have a very low completion rate in college comparatively to entrance. So, the data is good, and we do have a lot of our students who are going on to post-secondary studies in one form or another. Year to year, whether or not it's connected to their pathway varies a lot, but we always get some, definitely.
So it sounds like we just have an assessment challenge, and it sounds like it's just related to the changing times and expectations of. But it's a big problem. Obviously, I know that you know that. But last question, I promise. So just thinking about Title IX, when girls make up 51% of our students, boys 49, but girls are participating in athletics at 47% compared to boys 53%. I'm just curious, are we in danger of not being compliant with Title IX in terms of offering opportunities to boys and girls? Do we monitor that?
No, I don't think it's an opportunity problem.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to know.
No, we're rich in both genders for sports offerings, and like I said, people can, if they want to go out for it, except for like volleyball and basketball, which are really tough in competition, anybody who walks on can have that experience.
Thank you.
Hi. Really quick before I forget, Maverick, is that your name? I think, and welcome. I think maybe you could come up with maybe like some sort of like incentive idea, maybe like, throw out, what if if our grade or if our group does well, we could go to some sort of trip, or I know there was some, maybe possibility of helping, pay for your prom or something, some sort of incentive, because unfortunately, as much as it looks like it's, not something to be concerned or to look at, there always have to be some sort of perimeters or some sort of guidelines. So I don't know, maybe I'm throwing that out to you as a board representative for the student body, and maybe that's something maybe you could come up with and throw back to your principal, vice principal, like some sort of cool party and whatnot.
Yeah, I really like that idea. I think I'll talk to it with Mr. Damon and Mr. Berrigan in leadership, just like to spread the idea. But I really like that because I feel like there's just no motivation to do well on these tests. And if it were like something to do with prom, or even just like do with their grade in that class, like some extra credit, or like a party if the class gets like 80% pass rate or something. I don't know. I really like that idea, and I think it would motivate.
I completely agree. And I think coming from you guys, it would be a much more win-win situation, because it's not something that is being imposed on you guys. It's something that you guys want. Maybe you don't want a party. Maybe you want, I don't know, go to Santa Cruz. I'm making this up, okay? And we still would have to figure out the logistics, but something to think about, maybe something you guys can, because I agree. If I were in your shoes, I also would be like, yeah, and just go through it, completely understand. But maybe there's something that we could do to help you guys stay motivated and put a little more effort into it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think I'm going to go talk to leadership
Yeah.
about this and just kind of
Thank
start
you.
with a small group of students and like see what they would want to do, and maybe spread out it to like a survey across the whole school, just like wondering what they would want so they could actually try on these assessments.
No, thank you. Every little out of the box thought, every little opportunity helps. So thank you so much. I wanna congratulate you on your LPAC goals. You guys have really good LPAC goals. All your goals are like maximizing student outcomes and focusing at our promise, reading and students, and your other one, student and family engagement. And I think your fourth goal will just easily follow through if all those goals are met, which is, positive school climate, because, it's a given fact. Kids who are doing well want to be there. And when people want to be there, it's always a positive experience for the most part. I guess my question would be, and it's not a question I don't think you could answer right now, but is there, I guess I like the goals. Is there any way maybe at some point we could come back and see how we're doing with them? And I guess what I'm saying is that it all sounds great, but like, what are we, I would like to know what we are doing as far as like A through G required and getting kids ready. I think a lot of it is also like informing the parents. I know that not long ago you, I'm sorry, what is your name?
Mr. Aguilar.
I'm sorry, I'm bad with names, but everybody knows this. You had, you sent a robocall and you were inviting parents to come through this A through G informative night. And it wasn't related with ELAC, it wasn't related with ELAC or DLAC, but it was something, Padres Informados, something, and I was the first time I ever heard of such a thing. And I want to say thank you, and I want to congratulate you for, taking that step. I think that that's a great way of starting this whole parent engagement, this whole preparedness, and, letting the parents know. So in some way, because every parent's education level is different, in some way or another, they are able to support them or at least know what is going on. So I want to thank you for that. I wasn't able to go because I had to work, but thank you. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, of course. Hi, good evening, everyone. Yes, so in fact, our community liaison, Ana Cabrillo, and I we started this sort of conversation at the beginning of the school year to create a family parent group for Spanish-speaking families called Familias Unidas. And so this one is a combination between ELAC and sort of to really try to get parents more involved and really provide them with different information, resources, again, in order to be able to support their children in school. And so I also want to take this opportunity to invite you all next Wednesday. It's actually our second ELAC Familias Unidas meeting, and we're actually going to be reviewing the EL master plan too as well with families. So families are also aware of the different programs, the different resources, again, that they could find at school and how they could also support their children at home. And so the other things too that we're planning on doing with Mrs. Longacre is actually doing also a parent night where they actually go through programming and really looking at the courses for next year. We're also partnering up with Cunha to do like a middle school, high school sort of collaboration where we do different workshops for families. So in that way, they're able to access Power School and being able to access Schoology, because I know that was some of the concerns and just questions our families had. That they're like, well, I don't know how to, I don't know where my student stands. I don't know how, when they're tardy, when they cut class. And so then we really thought about like, well, we need to then be able to go to our different start at Cunha and then move on to the high school. So then when they get there, they already know how sort of to navigate the system. And so we're just really, really excited to continue with the parent engagement and really increasing that number. We had 32 families show up last month. And this goal is to actually increase it by 5 more families. So our goal is to go to 37 and hopefully increase that number every month.
Can I make a quick suggestion? I mean, in an ideal
Yes,
world,
please.
I think you're heading the right direction. You hit the nail on the head, saying a lot of people don't know even where they stand, and maybe something or part of a workshop would be something, for example, like on the junior year, letting parents know their students' deficiencies, their A through G requirements, because it's really important for us to like catch these things on way before junior or senior year. So that's just like a thought in the wind for you.
Thank you.
So it's next Wednesday, which is November 19th. What time and when?
At 6 p.m. at the high school library.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. And then, thank you for that. Also, I think I don't know if we're planning on doing anything as to it relates to like I said, catching those kids or informing those kids, because sometimes it's not just the parents, it's also the kids. They just like, okay, so I missed a month, not realizing that they missed a couple months if you add them all together, right? I mean, it's easy. Teenagers have an interesting mind. And so they downplay things very easily and then realize, oh no, my mom was right. It is a big deal. But to that, I want to say, I guess also do something more where there's more emphasis on kids getting D's, because although these D's give them the credits, they're also, there goes that opportunity of A through G that could be caught, ahead of time. And I think that's really important, and maybe that's something, counselors should be really focusing on. I'm not an expert, so I can't sit here and tell you guys how to do your job by no means, but I'm just thinking outside the box, and I'm just thinking how we could make things better to support these A through G requirements, to make sure that we give them as many options as they can. Am I saying that every kid should go to college? Absolutely not. But I feel like every kid should graduate with options. And lastly, I'm sorry, I was like writing my notes everywhere. I think for right now, I think that's, going back to, yeah, and I think I think sometimes when you know why they're absent, you can catch a lot of kids don't just stop going to school. It shows. It shows in their lack of interest. It shows in their lack of participation. It shows in their lack of work ethic, if you want to call it that. But they don't just like one day wake up and say, I'm not going. So I feel like if we could catch these kids before we even see a trend in their absenteeism, I think that would be really, really important and significant. And then I'm rambling on because I feel like everything's been spoken about. With reference to the PE, thank you for saying that. I think any child is more than capable of at least attempting to participate in any sport that the high school offers. So I completely agree. What I'm a little concerned about is I don't think the high school, and I might be wrong, but I don't think the high school does a good job on promoting their sports. I feel like it's almost like these kids already know, and it's almost like it's like a club. I don't even know what I'm like. It's almost like it's not as advertised and publicized as I think it should be. I don't think the message that you said tonight, a lot of kids understand, like, no, you don't have to be, super, strong, or you don't have to be super fast to want to participate in track or, whatever other sport. I mean, I find it so cool that they have the girls flag football. I was like, damn, if I was back in high school. But I think maybe we could do a little better on that. And I have a question. I don't know where I heard this, but please correct me if I'm wrong. At one point, are we thinking, or are we already doing something where we're giving them credit for PE if they are participating in a school sport?
So about 4 years ago, we underwent federal program monitoring, and the result of that was that students who participated in a sport during their 10th grade, no, not during their 10th grade, they could substitute any sporting season that they participated in 10th, 11th, 12th grade year to match one semester of 10th grade physical education.
Okay.
So my daughter, for example, she took 9th grade PE, she did track and field her 10th grade year, and then she golfed, and she'd never had a golf club in her hand before. So, and that's what she did to satisfy, because she was curious about golfing. So that is an exemption that exists for the 10th grade PE.
I guess I wish the word would be spread out more within the kids, because I think more than ever we need to expose them to different things as much as possible, and give them those options. Listen, you're bored of dressing for PE in the middle of the day, and so you're sweaty after, or for whatever reasons, or you don't want to change, or whatever the reasons are, but just give them those options. I think a lot of students are not aware that they could just try a sport and they could substitute, the PE class. I think when we advertise more out of these box experiences and options, I think we might see, positive outcomes. And I think that's it. So thank you.
So we'll try to do better with the promotion, for sure. I do want to, with physical, having students engage in athletics has shown that there is corresponding gain in their academic performance, but also their self-esteem, their psychological well-being, physical well-being, the relationship with other peers, those types of things.
Commitment, responsibility, have to be there like a job, like things
Teamwork.
like that. Teamwork, knowing how to deal with all those important life skills.
And since you brought it up, I do want to acknowledge Mr. Aguilar and his push to alternate Familias Unidas with our ELAC. I help with Ana Carrillo, our community liaison, as well as Ms. Longacre, work to really help support that, and just layering out as many ways in which we can do an outreach to have people feel welcome. And I think Mr. Aguilar is doing a wonderful job with that, and I'm very thankful for that, because that's a population we need to be comfortable on campus and feel safe and welcome.
And Mr. Aguilar, I'd like to offer my assistance of any way, shape, or form, como cualquier cosa que le pueda ayudar para algo así, humildemente cuenta con mi ayuda para poderle ayudar en cualquier forma que yo pueda hacer, pueda servirles a ustedes. Gracias.
If I can just end with,
I've got one more thing, so don't end, please.
no, do you have more? Okay, do you want to ask the questions? Go for it.
I just want to beat a dead horse some more, because
Yeah.
I feel like I just want to talk about the history of this concurrent enrollment thing, just to beat the dead horse. Because I feel like people are like, oh, she just wants them to get credit at the high school, but that's for college and high school credit. But that's not actually the problem I had and why I got involved in this policy of concurrent enrollment. The thing that I found out that really bothered me was that the independent study campus of Half Moon Bay High School was doing things differently than the big campus of Half Moon Bay High School. And that at the independent study campus, those kids were doing concurrent enrollment. They were getting credit at the college and at the high school. They could take one class at the high school, they could take two, they could take five, they could do whatever they wanted. And I felt like the people that knew about that loophole could do whatever they wanted, and then the kids that didn't know about the loophole had to follow different rules at the main campus. And that was really the problem I had with it, where I was like, why are we different? It's one school, and why it should be one way or the other. And at the time, people at the main campus, it wasn't you, this was before all of your time. But anyway, so that's what, and also I want to say this just so you new people have the history too of what happened. But that was the impetus to do the policy, was because of that inconsistency at the different campuses.
Right. And
I don't really care what happens, but I think we should try to make things consistent. And it shouldn't be like if your parent knows the loophole that you can get to do whatever you want, Yes.
And I will offer the opportunity to look at those policies at a future date. If we want to look at concurrent enrollment and that policy and bring that forward, and even the PE one, I was surprised because in Southern California, if you take PE, your freshman year during a sport, you don't have to take PE. If you're in football, you're in football. After football season, if you go out for basketball or soccer, which is the winter sport, if you make the team, you make the team. If you don't, you're in a PE program in the afternoon, which is strength conditioning, lifetime fitness, etc., taught by a PE teacher. But you didn't have to take sports and PE. I first learned about this when Maverick and I, Martin was supposed to have lunch with me as well, but Maverick and I had lunch the first time, and he had mentioned to me, I've got 7 classes, holy smokes. And I play 3 sports. So I said, oh, well, at least, you're getting A's for those. He goes, no, I don't get credit for the PE stuff. I'm like, you don't get credit for the PE, but they should be, the sports, but they should be getting credit this. For some students, that A, not necessarily for the A through G at the UCs, but some of the scholarships that are available to some of our students, that A on that GPA of a 3.4, but when they include a sport on top of that, that may be the difference of thousands of dollars when kids apply for this. So something I thought, well, he's taking 7 classes and he's doing 3 sports, but he's not getting any credit for it. I know he doesn't need it because 2 years or 3 years, 2 years and you're done. But for the GPA, for some kids, that's why I know my brothers, they went to school, not to go to school. They went to school because they want to play sports. And that is the motivator. And so when we talk about what we're offering here at the high school, and we look at tests, this is my baseline data. I'll tell you as a board, this is my baseline data. Andy and I had a frank conversation. He was not happy with the test scores, right? We talked a little bit about this, at my elementary school, my Title I school, and my affluent K-8 school. I made the rounds and I spoke to every classroom. We talked about the growth mindset. It's not about whether we're above the state average. Of course, I'd love to be there. It's about growth mindset. That everybody on our team, everybody in our classroom, everybody has to improve so that the needle can improve, right? And so we talked about how do you do that? How do you set the bar high? So my 8th grade class every year, and my 5th grade class every year, tried as hard as they could because they want to be that class that we left in the office, class of 1987. I'm dating myself now, right? But we would leave that thing up that said that was a class that had the highest test scores. That left the bar, right? And kids want to beat that. They knew what it was, so they really so it was that. So I don't know what the answer is for the juniors, but we definitely can do better than 22, 28%, whatever it is. I expect 30, 35, right? And then, yes, we'll look for some sort of motivation that I'll leave it to the administrative team and the leadership and the students to figure out what that might look like. But it should be, but if you really want to set the bar high, guys, don't just shoot for 30. Make the guys behind you remember the class of 19 or 2025, or these guys would be 2028, I don't know. Junior class right now. So it is one of those things so I look at the growth mindset, set the bar high, and then more importantly, we're talking about life skills. I've been working with our team. We had a conversation today with Mr. Castillo and Mrs. Trejo, who's overseeing our power school system. Power school should be able to help us, right? It should be able to help us, but I'm not quite sure we're there yet. Now, Jovi Trejo, due to the school district, she's fantastic. Every time I ask her something, she goes and investigates. I want to make sure we have systems in place. Talking about what you were talking about, we should have a system in place where it says, and we did this with our program at Beechwood, my K-8 school. Anytime a student fell below a 2.3, I got noticed as a principal. I got that flag because a quick D or an F on a test or a C, and you're dropping. And you can drop very fast. So I want to know, tell me when this kid hits a certain, but again, it's a systemic thing. That means teachers have got to put grades in by a certain time. That means counselors have got to be notified. That means parents have got to be notified. But for those tier 2 and tier 3 interventions, we've got to look at what we need to do. There's a lot more I think we can do. And I've been talking to other superintendents in San Mateo County, familiarizing myself with what intervention, what programs do work for certain students. So we've got to be able to look at our tier 2, tier 3 students to make sure that they too are on the right path. We talked about college and career readiness. I had this great invitation to Breland School District Unified, and there were 3 kids there, and they were talking about, I thought they would highlight the A through G classes. No, they highlighted the CT courses. And they had 3 students up there, and they said, so tell me about CT. And they had all the chamber there, everybody from Brea there. They said, well, first guy gets up, big burly kid, says, my dad was working construction, and I'm going to work construction. I love working with my hands. The next guy came up, and he says, well, I want to be I took wood shop in 8th grade, and they had to create a class, so I'm doing project management, so I'm going to go to Cal Poly Pomona and learn all about construction. Then the young lady came up, and she goes, I took the class because these bozos are my friends, but I took the class. I'm going to college. I want anything to do with building trades, but when I have my own home, I'm going to be able to do the own repairs. So everybody takes courses for a different reason, right? So yeah, they may take a pathway in ag, but doesn't mean they're going to be, a veterinarian or a farmer, but they take it because it hooks them in. And he mentioned athletics. If 80% of our kids can get hooked into something, we're doing a great job, right? Whether it's sports, choir, band, I don't care what it is. Right? But we have to hook 80% of our kids and then go after at 82, at 84, at 86, slowly but surely. So I do want to thank Andy and his team for putting this together. And like I mentioned to Andy, give the real data, and we'll talk about what that looks like in the future. So
can I say one more thing just along with what you're saying about things to do going forward? I mean, I think tonight, beating the dead horse brings up another thing is, we've made some policy but we had very different ideas about what that meant, and we didn't do a very good job of implementing it. So I think that's also something we need. It seems apparent to me that we'll need to be more careful with and work better on going forward.
Absolutely. I'm happy to meet and go over the text and think of a vision forward. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh,
Sorry.
no? Done? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Boysen.
Apologies, we have a procedure for public comments, so comment cards have to be submitted before the item. Sorry, thank you.
All right. That takes us to item 2C, Student Board Members Report. Start with Half Moon Bay High School Student Board Member, Maverick.
Hey, hope everyone's November is going well. I'm doing good. First, I want to start off, just shout out football. It's playing CCS playoff game at Burlingame tomorrow at 7 p.m. It's going to be exciting, maybe a little rainy. It's going to be a good game. We beat Burlingame earlier this season, so we definitely have a good shot at winning, and I'm excited. Moving on, I want to talk a little bit about Challenge Day. It was already mentioned earlier, but I think it went really well. Many kids have told me specifically that they had a good time at Challenge Day and they thought it was worth doing. So I feel like that's what you want to hear. Like, that's exactly what you should do it for. So I'm glad to hear that. Anyways, moving to leadership. Halloween was very fun. That's kind of an event we did. We had a spirit week, costume contest, and trick-or-treating. And so the whole event was very fun. Also in October, we had the Socktober drive, which was donating socks. We got almost 1,000 socks donated, which is really good. And not to brag, my class won the competition. I snuck in some socks at the very end and won. Looking into December, we have some fun activities for everyone to get in the Christmas spirit. We have Elf on the Shelf. So home basketball games are starting up, which will have fun themes as well. And after winter, well, I guess after the first semester ends, we're going to try to do a winter formal early in the second semester. It's going to be Sadie Hawkins themed, which is the girl asked the guy to the dance, so that'll be fun.
Title IX.
What happened? Anyways, also, we are finalizing the prom theme. I can't say it yet because we haven't told the students yet, but it's a good theme. I like it. Prom's at the Exploratorium this year, and I think it'll be really fun. Also, just last few things I wanted to add on that students have come up to me and told me that, like, kind of requested. First, I'm not sure if this is a thing already. I'm pretty sure it is, but many students, especially underclassmen, have come up to me specifically and said that they want the MU to always be open on rainy days. Since it's kind of the rainy season starting, like today, obviously quite rainy out. If the MU is always open, it'll just be really nice. Because I remember, like, my freshman year, kind of just walking around the school, going in a teacher's classroom, looking for someone to eat lunch when it was raining. And if the MU was open with desks and tables out so everyone could sit there with their friends, I think it would be a really good idea. And students have been asking for that. Also, I talked about this in a previous meeting, but trash cans on the hill. Now that it is starting to rain, if there is trash, it's just going to get washed right in the ocean. So I think trash cans on the hill should be a priority, and it'll help with not polluting the environment and just cleaning up and better looks on campus. So that's all I have for today. Yeah.
All right, thank you. Pilarcitos High School Student Board Member Martin.
All right, first I want to say thank you to Dr. Miramontes for giving a generous donation to our horse class so we can continue to have it throughout the year and for the students to have this opportunity. So a lot of appreciation from everyone at Pilarcitos and especially Ms. Shower. We have a new part-time counselor starting, Marcy Henzel. And then we have a Pilarcitos Coyote Foundation has received confirmation from the IRS that they are 5013C status. So we are no longer the only school in the district without a foundation. That's it.
All right, thank you very much. We're on to item 3, general business. We have a presentation of our district-wide bond facilities project update. Mr. Drew.
There we go. All right. Good evening, Board President Daniel, members of the Board of Education, Dr. Miramontes and staff. Thank you for this opportunity to address you on our bond facility construction projects across the school district. Here we go. All right. So we're talking about the projects that are recently done or they're still currently in progress. Right now, those projects include Farallon View, which even though the vast majority of construction and all general conditions and everything that was going on the site is done, completed, and removed, we still have one more facet of that project that we're looking to complete. El Granada Phase 1, as it was modified, was completed over the summer, and then we're currently into Phase 2 with El Granada, and happy to report that we have full completion of the project at Cunha, and we're going to show you some pictures and get into that a little bit, answer your questions. There we go. Okay. So Farallon View, again, this project was mostly completed over the summer. That include the modernization of Building A, the modernization of Building B and, not band, but Building B and the MU modernization was also completed. We have one outstanding issue. We are still trying to work through the fire hydrant issue with CAL FIRE. We think we have a solution that will be going to final design with Studio W and DSA approval hopefully shortly. And we can, our hope is that we can wrap this up and put it to bed over winter break. We're trying very hard to get there. Hopefully we have a agreement on what's going on there. So you have some pictures here. So not only was there some modernization that went on, there were some color changes. So we have a very nice color palette laid out. Not only were buildings A, which is what we're looking at, and the MU, B on the other side, but also we repainted the entire campus, so it all matches now. So here's the new office and kind of a typical classroom that you're going to see. Very neat feature is that box, I think, in the middle there on the ceiling, because that is a skylight. And so those have all been redone. Gorgeous classrooms. There's another side of the school. A lot of these murals and a lot of there's clay textile work on the exterior of the building. It was a really great choice to make sure that all of that was kept. And so that is still a feature of the school. This view that you're looking here to the right is the MU. The building that you see straight in front of you is the Building B, and this is the staff parking lot of the school. And you can see Building B again this time we're looking at the shade structure, so it's Building B on the right and Building A on the left, and that new steel shade structure that will be there for centuries. That thing is built to last. And so now we're at El Granada. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Roger to talk about that.
Thank you, Drew.
Yep.
Good evening, members of the board, Dr. Miramontes, and members of the Half Moon Bay community. I'm Roger Shahar, Senior Project Manager with Banner Construction Management. Currently working, we're wrapping up El Granada Phase 1. Phase 1 is our project, Building C, that was completed last summer. We still have a few things that we're working through. And we have one drop-off area guardrail that's we're working through to complete, pricing it, and will be completed soon. There's also the modernization, which is buildings A, D, K, and M. That work is in progress. That's actually called Phase 2. I'm going to move on to the next slide. Let's see, there we go. There's a photo. This is a photo of the Building C courtyard and canopy area. The photo to the right is our canopy, which provides shelter for the students as they're walking to the classrooms, as they get closer to the classrooms. And the photo on the left is the new music room, which is designated for music, but is used for a variety of reasons. Next slide. Here's a photo of our trash enclosure. I know it's hard to get excited about the trash enclosure, but within that trash enclosure is our compactor and all the garbage bins concealed behind gates and locked, and just is tucked away in a manner that is not too obvious around the campus and doesn't provide a major site obstruction. To the right is the bike path. There's an accessible ramp that leads to the county bike path that was opened several weeks ago, and so now students in the community can access through the parking lot and go down to through the parking lot down onto the bike path. Building K, this is part of Phase 2's work. Building K is to the right. Most folks that have visited the campus, that's the kindergarten classrooms, one of the buildings that houses 2 of the kindergarten classrooms on campus. That's underway. This is the foundation work underway and reframing. The buildings are of an old vintage. That was a mid-60s building, and there's certainly, with wood structures, their tendency to run into some surprises, but we're reframing it, and things are moving along nicely. To the right is some more framing photos of the inside of Building K. There are two large classrooms in there with also a workroom in the back that allows for breakout work with students. Next photo is Building A, site work and wall framing. Building A, for those who are not aware of the campus, is where the administration was, or the faculty, the admin staff and principal is housed. That building's currently under construction. When we're done there, we'll have 7 brand new classrooms, an admin space, a conference room, and 2 to 3 offices for staff. Oops. And then the photo to the right is a photo of the utilities run in the main corridor of Building A down the middle. Next photo. So an update on the coastal development permit for the parking lot lighting. So we most recently had our approval at the county on October 22nd. There was a court hearing, or public hearing, I should say, and the county did unanimously approve it. The next steps, and as you can see, there's the 5 principles. Many of the sensitive light requirements on the coast were followed. All of them were, and then some actually. And some of the things that were followed were the 5 dark sky 5 principles, and just adjusting the lighting to make sure it was sensitive to the community. we want to share a special thanks to the lighting engineer, which Shannon Goolsby with, excuse me, Omani Meyer, who were the electrical engineer and lighting design for this, for his support. He showed up for the hearing and definitely helped with all of the technical explanations for the project. One last thing on the lighting I did want to explain is that we did recently pass through the first round of public appeals for the parking lot lighting, and we're now moving on to the next round for the California Coastal Commission. Phase 2 schedule and budget. So here's a number of items that we're working through. There, as I mentioned, a lot of the older buildings with the framing, there's some surprises with dry rot and other things. Some of the windows were not in the best condition, but so we've run into a number of things with building K and A, and there were also some with the dry rot. We found that the plaster was asbestos, so in order to remedy the framing, we had to demo the asbestos and remove it, and then reframe the walls. So that we've all worked through that, and then the windows in Building K were in very poor condition. They were plexiglass and not efficient and not something we could leave in the building, and then as we work through it, basically we show the cost impacts on this slide. Some of the things that the enhancements, improved gutter system, we'll have enhanced ceiling system, restoration of construction laid down area. There's also a plan for that to be included in phase 2. New facilities access road for improved site. That's also part of some of the additional costs we're looking at incorporating into the project. I did also want to mention with the abatement of Building K, it means that by the time we're done with all the projects at El Granado, there will no longer be asbestos in any of the buildings that have been remodeled. And there was another part that it wanted to bring up as part of this El Granado Phase 2 is, excuse me. Yeah. I mean, okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. With some of the surprises we ran into in Building K and even A, is there's been a definite need to look at extending the project schedule because our buildings are always scheduled to complete in the summertime in such a sequence that it allows us time to then move new furniture in, move contents in. We found that Building K, because of the dry rot, we have to look at extending that project construction schedule because we no longer can complete the building as planned in the December timeframe. So we're looking at extending the completion date of Building K, which subsequently affects the other buildings that are due to complete after them. So there's a domino effect there. Ultimately, we're looking to extend the project from August of 2026 to basically December of 2026. So it's 6 months. It's 5 months because it's basically the end of August. So I'm just going to move on to the next slide. Some of the other good things that have happened, moving on to other projects, is the Cunha Middle School soccer field and Half Moon Bay High School baseball field completions. That work occurred last summer and was completed in the early fall. The schedule started in early June. The crews started immediately as soon as school was out. They started demolition at Cunha and then followed by the high school. So the Cunha Middle School was completed on September 12th, and the high school was completed on October 10th, in time for both seasons. I know baseball, while baseball is a spring sport, they were able to complete it in time for some of the upcoming tournaments that the high school team had coming up. There's some photos of the ribbon cutting at Cunha Middle School. That was on September 13th. That was the big AYSO opener for the community. It's a great event, a lot of happy people. It was a lot of fun to be a part of. And the photo to the right, actually the Boys and Girls Club are in that photo, and of course, board members from the district. Photo to the right, we have a view of the field with the stands that are off to the side of the field. And next photo is Half Moon Bay High School baseball field. They went to 100% synthetic turf and basically replaced some of the infield and outfield warning track colors. Went with a newer design and worked closely with the design team to come up with a concept that the campus athletics program, and as well as the community and district was happy with. And as a part of this, there'll be a maintenance program for the fields that will be ongoing. And that covers it. Thank you.
So with that, I know you know that we have some more specific board agenda items related to the contract change a little bit later. So however, at the board's pleasure, you would like to handle this, if you'd like to ask questions specifically about this now or later when we're doing the contracts as you'd like.
Thank you, Maverick. I have a comment, I guess it's more of a comment, on presentations like this. I would really like to see the budget versus actual on here instead of total project budget. Let's say for Fairlawn View, what was that originally out of? Like, and then for El Granada, I'm assuming 22.8 million is where we are. What was our goal?
In terms of the budget?
Yes.
Yes.
Budget and actual. So how close are we financially to the original goal? Sure. Or approved amount? That would be lovely. And, okay, so we're not, since Fairlawn View, what's the plan for the kitchen?
Plan for the kitchen for?
At Fairlawn View?
The renovated.
The beautiful, lovely, large kitchen.
The one connected to the multi-use?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, right now it's being used by our child nutrition services to
feed Fairlawn View.
Yeah, to provide those students.
But it's not a scratch kitchen.
No, but it has, I mean, it's pretty adaptable. I mean, yeah.
And I didn't know if, I couldn't remember if the old board members knew what the plan, if you've seen that kitchen, like what the plan was for that ginormous, like, it's like multiple ovens, multiple fridges. There's a restaurant cleaner, like dish cleaner in there. Just curious.
I mean, I think that was to feed the school, but I think also Jesus got a bunch of free fridges and equipment that he got grants for or something too. So some of the money came through. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, there were some grants, and at one point that kitchen was looked at as potentially being a scratch kitchen because it's so far north that it could.
Okay. I would love that to stay on our radar, is that we have this fabulous kitchen, Fairlawn View. Love to use it correctly.
Some of that equipment's up at the high school too.
Oh, I saw
Right, yeah.
those 6 fridges in the MU Challenge Day. Yep. The lighting, okay. I hate talking about lighting. The passion.
You don't find it illuminating?
Oh, it's
Thank you. Thank you. Here all week.
I would if they were illuminating anything. Right now, they don't seem to be on.
Oh, yeah, we want to make sure that we implement those sorry.
Yeah.
We being sensitive about the lighting right now, and we have all the zones already identified with time, so they will be turned on and off. But right now, we're just being sensitive as to when to turn them on. So the plan is, just so you understand, the parking lot lighting, if we get full approval next week, that's the plan, because we still do need the parking lot lights to go through public appeals for California Coastal Commission. There's one more round, but as far as the other lights,
The bollards.
we will turn them on. We're trying to figure out the right lighting times to do that. We have them identified. We're just being sensitive about turning them on.
We also found as we were doing it that there were some issues with the controller, and some zones were on and some weren't turning off on time. So we kind of just wanted to make sure that we were getting that right.
Okay, the time change has happened, so it's dark earlier. So I'm just seeing a lot of darkness and people walking, PTO meetings, etc.
Sure.
So thank you for handling that soon. Bond presentation. That's all for the presentation. Thank you.
I have a couple quick questions. What's wrong with the fire hydrant at Fairlawn View?
The fire hydrant, as it was signed off by CAL FIRE and DSA, was not found to be acceptable by CAL FIRE at the start of the school year.
CAL FIRE signed off on it and then found out later that it was not acceptable?
Yeah.
Okay. That sounds like a sitcom. Okay. And then the second question is, actually, this one might be for Dr. Miramontes. What's the maintenance plan for the turf? I had some parents over the weekend when we were at soccer ask me, how's the turf maintained? I was like, I have no idea. So I don't know if you know. Yeah.
So we did a maintenance agreement with the install of the turf. That the way that we did the maintenance agreement, it actually extended the warranty on the turf. Basically, on an annual basis, we'll have them come out, and there's a process where they clean the infill, they relay the infill. The infill on, so the turf that's on the field is a little different than the turf that's in that seating area up by the Boys and Girls Club. So we have to have the turf in the field to get the fibers to sit right. Otherwise, they start to lay down. So basically, it ensures that the infill is replaced evenly, because there's always zones where you get wear, and that's why they want us to do it, is because it extends because it really extends the durability of the field.
So we have a vendor who will do that once a year it's not our people who will do that.
No.
Yeah, thank you.
Ask a question on the infill. I don't know.
On the
It was
infill?
done. I think you were calling it infill,
Mhm,
the
yeah,
stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so it hurts. The infill really hurts.
Okay.
Like when a kid slides, and I wouldn't have cared that much, because the assumption was, when I was talking to parents and kids, or not kids, they're the injured ones, but the parents, is that would settle more, and because I know it's the best stuff, but like when a kid slides, it they're rug burned. It is.
Which field are you talking about?
Cunha.
So Cunha is a cork, zeolite, and sand combination infill. There's a lot of it. It is just so much, and so if we're refilling it every year. Well, not refilling it. Yeah, so you run a cleaner through it, and the cleaner's gonna reach in and scoop the stuff, run it through a cleaner, and then lay it back down. But every year, when the kids leave, it's still stuck to their clothing.
Yes.
And stuff like that. It just falls outside of the playing area. we're going to need to replace it. Not all of it, but just a little bit of it each year.
Okay.
And that's something that we can determine at the time. We have some of the infill in storage.
So it'll reduce a little, like the amount. Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Gamet. Thank you, Roger. Takes us to item B, approval of the amendment number 1 to facilitate lease with Rodan Builders for El Granada Elementary School. Modernization Phase 2. This is an action item. So do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you.
I'll second. Bye, Martine.
All right. All right.
Well, they already voted? Oh, they have, okay. Okay, the motion. Yeah, the district is requesting the approval of the amendment number 1 to the facilities lease with Rhode Island Builders for the El Granada Elementary School Phase 2 project. The amendment includes 10 scope changes totaling $1,357,402.50, primarily addressing the unforeseen conditions such as asbestos abatement, structural repairs, and design modifications, including the installation of a new grass playfield and energy-efficient window replacements. The project deadline is extended to 122 days, with the new completion dates of November 21st, 2026, and for substantial completion by December 31st, 2026, for final completion. All costs will be funded through the Measure K bond funds, and existing contingency funds remain available for future needs.
All right.
I have comments.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Okay, sorry.
Do you have comments?
I do.
Okay.
And we talked about this, but I was a little concerned about the wording of providing a grass play field, as there is no, the word is blanking me, but irrigation set up at El Granada, and we have tried the grass before. It now is just a hard dirt scape. So as a board, we had discussed using the funds coming from something for artificial turf. So I would love not to do any, we don't need to spend any money on putting seeds in there. It's pointless. We can grade it, and then once constructions leaves and we're done, we can put in a turf field.
Repeat that, I missed that, I don't understand what you're asking.
Irrigation's part of it though, right?
No.
That's correct, it is.
Yeah, it's in the packet. Yeah, irrigation's part of it.
It's in that packet.
So what were you asking?
What I think Ms. Brianna's asking is no grass, instead of grass, doing a turf field.
I see.
I mean, they're right across from the ocean.
Yeah,
It becomes a mud pit. I've spoken to Mrs. O'Connor about this as well, right? It's just not conducive for the area and where kids play, and there's really no level playing field there. So I think that's what you're asking is, can we look at this and look at what you're asking for is Prop 2 funding coming back from the state? Can we allocate some money there for a small turf field? Now, we've talked about this as far as a cabinet level team, right? We want to be equitable across the board, right? But sometimes things aren't equitable, they have to be fair, right? And so I do know that Hatch also has a need for some irrigation. There's no irrigation at all there. The field is terrible. There's holes there, there's gopher holes there. I've been up to Kings Mountain on that little field there. That's going to be a whole different type of design, right? And then Fair Longview, I've had parents ask me, and I was at their Harvest Festival as well, and there's a lot of gopher holes there at the site. Actually, you were all there, 3 of you were there, yeah.
Just to be clear though, this field, they're going to put gopher, whatever, what do you call it? And irrigation, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay, I don't know where I missed irrigation and the parents who asked me about this. I don't,
It's in the proposal in the little.
in this one?
It's in our board packet. It's in our,
Oh,
I mean, I'm definitely open to that. We don't want to see the cost analysis of a field and then like what the maintenance would be. I feel like it's worth noting, at least for Hatch, I don't feel like an artificial field is necessary, but definitely some maintenance to improve the field and to put down the gopher stuff. But I'm open to it, but I would want to see what the cost analysis is.
And regarding an equity thing, any of the schools are all getting the same things. It's just what is needed at that school the most. And because there is no green space at El Granada Elementary right now, if we're going to redo it, it should be done in a way that is sustainable for that school. And in my opinion, and I don't think it's just mine, that would be a turf field, and doing anything else is a waste of money.
oh, I'm surprised. I thought people would want a grass field. So you think even without irrigation and stuff, it still wouldn't?
Do any of our campus,
Well, we don't have gopher wire and irrigation on any of our fields, so I don't really know.
Yeah,
I assumed it would be okay, but I don't know. Not my area of expertise.
The maintenance of, this isn't on any person or role or whatever, but the maintenance of green spaces on our campuses are not really seem to be a priority and let go, and it's just a recurring issue. And this would be, if we looked at the cost of all the things, I told parents they didn't need to come today to discuss this. So we can have people speak to it in future meetings, but this is a huge one at El Granada.
So,
I'd like to hear from Drew and from the experts who are helping us do it the right way, cost effective. What we heard Mr. Miramontes mention, a turf would be better because of the location, so close to the ocean. What are your recommendations?
So my concern is twofold when it would come to that. First of all, Roger did a rough kind of calculation on what potentially that would cost. And we're looking at potentially somewhere in the neighborhood of a $1 million increase to what you see here, the $726,000. So it'd be roughly $1,726,000.
Increase for a turf or
for turf?
Okay.
Yes, to put turf there. The other concern that we would have related to that is the fact that we would be really changing the conditions of what is there. There's no way that we could turn it into a turf field and say, oh yeah, that's basically the same thing. It's not. It would be radically different. Therefore, it would need to be a project that would go to DSA for full approval. So it is a markedly different type of project compared to, for example, what we did at Cunha, where both at the Cunha and the high school, those fields were pre-existing. It was really just a maintenance project. We were just, a big one, but still, that's essentially what we were doing there. So there's two pieces that would come into play there. I think, certainly, we're here to do what you guys want. We could certainly, if you'd like, we could remove that. You could amend this piece, removing item 7, and approve it absent that item, because regardless, we are going to need the additional time. There's no way we can make the amount of work that we have right now work within the calendar that we have. So if you'd like, we could remove that, and we could potentially look at what that would look like as a separate standalone project. Would be one way of doing it. We strip it out and we do it as a separate project that would be for the summer of 27. Yeah. So for the following summer. And we would just do, and essentially what we could do is look at what it would be to just minimally leave it sort of in a dirt state without irrigation and all that kind of stuff for that period until we were able to come back and do it as a full and complete project that would be approved by DSA.
Okay, so right now, it has never been a field, that area.
That was blacktop, sir. That was asphalt.
Right.
And a playground.
So in DSA world, asphalt can change to grass, but not turf?
Well, no, the asphalt that was there is gone.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, we've walked through there, I think, as a
Yeah.
group, and you can see it's just dirt and rubble and whatnot. So we would just want to make it more dirty, more dirt, like just so there's not huge chunks of rock sticking
The
out. that kids
DSA
can-
part, the DSA change is what I'm referring to.
Right.
Since,
So what we could do is if we did it as a separate project, we would get an architectural firm, we would do design to create the field and the space and everything that we would need to have it as a turf field, and then that would get submitted to DSA, and then we would do it on a separate track from the rest of phase 2, what's going on. Because we'd still want to make sure that phase 2 is done.
Absolutely.
As soon as possible, just to get that site and all the neighbors and everyone into a state where at least for a period of time, there's no construction going on.
Okay.
And then shoot for a summer start.
I believe I'm okay with that. I feel I'm a little shaky right now. I feel a little blindsided. I thought turf was always on the table, and this is news to me right now. So I do believe, can we rediscuss this next month once more people hear about this and understand this? So remove that section from this part is fine with me, but then because I know how long DSA and all that stuff can take, can we revisit it next month?
Absolutely. I mean, absolutely. I mean, if we have the approval, I mean, one of the constraints that we're trying to address operationally is the time extension. So if you're good with the time extension and the increased scope here. So let me give you the exact language here, what it would be.
I have a problem with spending $1 million more. We are already going to run out of money, so I think it's a good decision to what you have decided. And people that take care of their grass and water it and mow it, I mean, the grass is fine. There's yards everywhere. But I guess, I want us to take care of it and not let it go, I think would be, my ask for commitment there. But I think people would, people usually want grass for little kids because it's soft, but I just am not okay with changing the plan, and I would like to leave it as it is and have the grass, but make sure we take care of it.
Yeah, let me step back and say, what I'd like to do is just approve this so we can get the timeline going. And then I could have the team come back and do a cost analysis. Again, they're estimating, but I'd really like to have a true number. So it's not $1 million and it's $700,000 or whatever, right? We can come back, maybe not in December, but in January. There's still time, guys. So in January, really sit down and say, okay, what are the true numbers here, right? And give you guys. I too have heard that it was supposed to be I was told it was supposed to be a turf field, but I've never seen any document. And and these are people that work at the school site that have been part of the piece. Hey, we're supposed to have this field out there. I will say that even when we put the turf field at Cunha, I took a little bit of beating from people in the community that said, "Hey, you should have planted grass there," right? So people don't understand the wear and tear at Cunha is different. You've got all the soccer fields, all the PE kids doing, so it's you never win, right? You never win. You just don't, right? But what we can do, what I'm asking today is that the board approves this. We move forward with this. We'll come back in January with clear numbers. What's the percentage of what we have left, right? And can we make this happen one way or the other? But I think giving you more information, and then having our team actually walk out there as well. If anybody wants to join them, we could walk the field to see what that might look like and understand. And maybe it's not the entire field, maybe it's a patch of it. I don't know, or maybe not. Maybe it is the Gopher. Maybe there are other school districts that have used the Gopher, and we can take a look at it.
That's fair. And Brianna, you're right, that was the original plan, was turf. Yeah, in the talk, but.
So I would just kind of going down that road a little bit more. A lot of what you see in here in terms of what we're recommending in terms of contract amendments are to mitigate things that seem to have been part of some sort of a value engineering activity that went on prior to, I think, any of us being on the project.
But we didn't have money back then,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
We don't have a lot of money now.
We got $150 million more than we had then.
Yeah,
So.
we want to make sure most of that goes to the high school, of course. Just some thoughts on it that I want to get on record. Obviously, we want to make the best decision that we need to for our school sites. I also feel like that's a lot of money, but if we can find funding sources, then maybe that mitigates that concern. If we can tap into a different funding source. The other thing, though, I just want to raise is that Hatch is in the same boat. Hatch doesn't effectively have a green space. It doesn't even have a soft surface. It's got tan bark. And so I would like to just put out there that before we should have that in the conversation as well. That if we're going to do something for one school site, that we're trying to figure out how we can make sure that it's fair for the other site too.
I have a lot of emotion around this. I will say that regarding Hatch, before I was on the board, I stood up about that. That is why when I look at El Granada, I don't want to do it wrong again. I think it was done wrong at Hatch, and I don't want that to happen again. And so turf was just on the fields and the way to go because of the location where it's going to be, and that it could be another community space for practices, for weekend stuff, because Cunha, we went through it, I think, a little faster than normal because of so much wear and tear. And so if we can move that a little bit to a more central area, we have that space. Think El Granada Elementary has Quarry Park right there, so it's not like there isn't outdoor green space in that neighborhood. And I really want to make sure that for all of the schools here, that when we are doing work on them, we're doing it in a sustainable, long-lasting way that is good for decades to come.
Also, don't forget Kings Mountain and Fairlawn View, right?
I never forget any of them.
All right, so we need an amended motion, sorry.
Yeah, hang on 1 second. Let me make sure that I have the language right for what the amendment would be. Give me 2 seconds.
I need an amended motion.
I also have some other questions about.
We're supposed to motion in second
Okay.
before we're doing all this, so I'll make a motion.
Second.
Right.
So then I have.
Right, but.
Language as stated. Language as stated.
Well, but I haven't given you any solid numbers, so let me do that real quick.
But we're going to do that in January. Real
Then,
numbers.
well, no, so what we need you to do is to amend the contract.
We're not going to amend it per the superintendent. He wants us to leave it as it is, and then that will come back, and we can still change things as needed, what he said.
Can we change that verbiage real quick? Isn't it based on what we want to do? So do we want to keep it the way that it is? Just to clear up verbiage and how.
I'm fine with how it is, and I would like to relook at it in January.
I guess what my concern is, procedurally, is that we need the contract extension.
Right.
Mary Beth wants to
Well,
keep
I'm
it as
doing,
is
I'm
and approve
taking,
the contract extension.
I'm taking my direction from the superintendent, so why don't you two talk to each other?
Why
He's saying,
wouldn't we be included in that?
he's saying leave it as is, and then we'll revisit it, but that can be changed, but then they'll have what they need, and we can change it later.
So the reason that they need a contract to be able to move forward. They need a contract to be able to move forward, just like we have a contract now with Veneer and everybody else. We're extending their contract, and it can always be amended. We're going to amend the windows. We're going to amend some of the ceiling things, some of the other things that are there. I'm asking that the board accept the motion as is. We'll approve the contract, so it's a longer term, I think, December of 2026? 2027? 2027, so we know what that is. Come back with information regarding specifically the fields, because everything else is fine. But I'm asking the board to approve the verbiage as is. We'll come back with clear information regarding turf and or grass. And if the board wants to see what that might look like at Hatch, Kings Mountain, Fairlawn View, we can bring all that information as well.
Point of clarification, we approve it as is today, we amend it in January. That's not going to change any of our options in terms of, okay, then I'm fine with keeping it the same.
Oh, okay. And then we come back and amend it. Okay, that's fine.
We'll just make sure that we agendize that for January. That's a critical piece.
Or for December.
For December.
Then we still don't have verbiage saying that we're somewhere like tangible that we can say we're looking at turf, even though that we all agree that this was the original plan, but nowhere is it written down. Where can we see that?
I'm hearing it very clearly from you
Okay.
that you want us to bring that back, so
Thank you.
we would do that.
Okay.
So.
Well, actually, I have questions that are independent of the field. So I just, the district provided some good information about what the expenses are, but I just feel like I have to ask on the record, why was this not caught in the beginning? So if we could articulate and just for people who are paying attention, just a summary of why these things were not caught earlier in the process, and then now we're paying essentially $1.5 million to do it now. So I don't know if you can give me an answer to that.
So I think if you look at a lot of the changes that are outlined here, there was clearly a move to value engineer the project.
Okay.
To keep it so that we had essentially a modernization that was going on, but in order to get it to fit within the budget, which is always going to be an issue.
So we kind of gambled a little bit.
No.
But
Okay.
it's what you talked about in your last presentation tonight. That's the same.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
So for example, it is very reasonable to say that, you know what, for all these windows in this one area, this might be an area we can save. You can still see out of them. We're going to save money that way. We're going to, we're going to try and set up the walls and the ceilings in the administrative building in such a way that we're saving a little money from where we could go. But now, as was pointed out, now that we're in a position where we've got another bond and we've got a chance to kind of look at some of these things, I think we've gone back and looked and said, you know what? Single pane windows that are made out of plexiglass and not glass is not meeting our needs in terms of what we expect. And when you're signing off on it, that's what it's going to look like at the end. And so together we went through pretty exhaustive process going through those buildings, us, someone from QKA, to really look at what those changes were and what was going to be problematic as we got to the end. Additionally, the fact that we found a lot of these things in building K, as in terms of dry rot and whatnot, has given us the signal that what we're going to be, one of the activities that we're going to be doing over winter break is we're going to be doing some exploratory demolition. And that's where you just cut a small hole in the wall and we open it up and we're looking for that damage now. And that can inform us on some important pivots that we might need to make just in our in our new timeline, such as it's set up. And then that's what we can work towards and make sure that we're not at a race. We want it to be that December 31st timeline is you literally walking on the campus and you never knew what was going on for the previous 2 years. Everything's gone, everything's clean, it's done. And that's That's what we wanted to give the community. And rather than it's a mad race, we're going as fast as we can, we're trying to fix this and we're trying to fix that, and we're trying to do all these different things. And that's
Okay.
that just didn't very well last summer.
No, please,
really
please,
quick,
yeah.
just before we move on to something else, I had same kind of feeling as you did, and I have to say that the weekly updates that is sent to us by Rosie, it actually gave us some questions, some very potential questions, and some real answers as when it was discovered when the demolition happened and things like that, and the fact that we probably didn't make better choices in the past when it pertains to thinking we could keep the same windows for cost effectiveness, but it's not even effective at all. I mean, to know windows are not even functioning is it like it defeats the purpose of building a new building. And I think that's why I'm even more happy to say that we have Drew in the position that he's in, because there's all these little things that are not little at the end, right? Everything adds up. So, I mean, that's why I feel like, having him in the position that he's in and giving us that feedback is super important. But I agree with you with what you said, and I feel like for me, reading the weekly update was very, very helpful for a lot of these questions.
And I agree. I just want to get this on record in a meeting, an explanation, so that for people who are paying attention, that they can hear it as well. And then, yeah, I think any attempt, we have this high school project coming up, and of course we want to try and do this so that we don't have these kind of expenses at the end. I get that. One last question for me, and this actually comes from a constituent who read the agenda and works in construction. He was saying typically the laydown area, the rehab of that is the contractor's responsibility. We're paying for that. Is that because it was asphalt and then the asphalt was taken out and now we have to do something different with it?
It was asphalt, but in very poor condition, and there was no way to salvage what was left there. It was heaved and sinking, and so it.
So in general, that would be something the district would follow, is that we would expect the contractor to repair the laydown area, but in this case,
if there's language for it, yes.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And if I can add also on the field, when the project was initially programmed, the design team did listen to board members and the district about having the field be a part of the project, but as the project progressed with design and they moved through the 4 design phases, there's an incremental estimate that occurs after every design phase to measure where we're at. And so some decisions were made along the way, and the focus at the time was focused on the classrooms and furniture as opposed to the outside. So in that case, the field was something that was value engineered out because the focus was on the classrooms. So that's how it was certainly heard, and it was certainly on the list, but as things progressed with material costs and tariffs and other things, the pricing really was beyond what the original project budget could afford.
I just want a clarification. We're going to vote on this, and then D is to vote on the contract for the construction company. Is that correct? So it's going to be separated? Okay, great.
For construction management.
Construction management, thank you. Right. Good, thank you for your patience with my questions.
Thank you for your patience with the process of construction.
Okay, so the amended motion will be to approve the contract as it is.
Amended. Oh, we're not amending it. We're not amending.
Okay, then we're gonna need, because we didn't amend it, then we're gonna need another motion.
We never made a motion for an amendment. We
Yes,
made
we
a
did.
motion.
Yes, we did.
And you did.
I motion to pass the item as it is written.
Second.
Okay, so as it is. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no.
Can I abstain?
Yes.
I'm abstaining.
Okay. Passes 4-0.
All right, thank you. That takes us to item C, authorization to purchase and install Verkada video surveillance solution at Cunha Intermediate School. So I need a motion.
Motion to move.
Don't they introduce it first?
Oh,
Are we
sorry.
Making a
Leslie.
motion, let him.
Sorry, introduce it, sorry.
The district is prioritizing student safety and campus security through the installation of Verkada Command video surveillance system at Cunha Intermediate School. This next generation system will expand 24/7 monitoring coverage across key areas, including entrances, parking lots, playgrounds, helping to ensure a safer environment for students, staff, and visitors. The project will be funded through bond funds at a total cost of $504,000. A little over $504,000 includes installation, training, and long-term warranties to maintain reliable protection and secure operations. For those of you that don't know, we were vandalized. A couple of classrooms were vandalized a couple weeks ago when we first started the conversation. And this conversation started with Mr. Clinton last year and continued this year again with Mr. Guzman.
We need motion and second, please.
So moved.
I'll second.
I have one quick comment. This is an incredible amount of money for cameras. I know it is what it is. I just want to say that is wild. It's $500,000 to put cameras in that building. That is crazy.
I agree.
It's more than cameras though, right? It's a whole system with video and.
It absolutely is. And this is not, again, we're getting it a CMAS, so it's the procurement piece would be anywhere and everywhere. I actually have seen a system over at Jefferson Union High School District. It is incredible. It ties in nicely with our Raptor system we currently have. And so I think this is something we need to look at all our school sites as we're starting to build out this the bond programs across the district.
Let's vote.
I also agree that it's a lot of money, but I also feel like it is an important investment for security reasons, especially with all the craziness that is going on in public schools these days. And not only regarding gun violence, but also the kids are starting to vape and do things in school a lot younger. And unfortunately, kids will vandalize and do silly things. So it is a lot of money. But coming from, from juvenile probation prospect and opinion, I think it's a well invested start to, monitoring our schools and ideally, moving it up to the high school.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. Passes 5-0.
Right, thank you. That takes us to item D, authorization to approve veneer proposal for extended project management services for El Granada Elementary School Phase 2.
And we heard this is the second part of that, so I'm just asking the board to approve this proposal.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
No questions?
I have a question. I don't have an issue with the amount or anything like that. It was explained to me, sort of the breakdown, and that does make sense. One of the questions I did want to put on record is to have a better understanding, how do we evaluate these contracts? So no offense, Roger, but I'm just wondering if the community could hear, how do we know that we're getting value for our money? Do we have something in place for that, or an explanation?
So this is a way of structuring construction operations at a school district, especially in terms of our what we call the delivery method, how we're getting it done, which is lease back. that's certainly a conversation going forward with the high school and whatnot on how we want to do a delivery method. And, you know, I think that would be a conversation, probably one that, you know, we would want to dig in. I mean, that's more of like a board study session item, I would think.
I would support that for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's basically what I needed to know. Thank you.
Okay. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. Passes 5-0.
Great. This takes us to item 4, governance matters. A, governance team commitment to enhance communication to community. Dr. Miramontes.
Thank you. At the last board meeting, we talked a little bit about transparency and openness and communication, all those pieces that are there. When I first got here, one of the first things that I asked for was an organizational chart. And looking back at and working with our staff, apparently there was supposed to be an organizational chart provided at the December board meeting last year, this time, and it was pulled off. I don't know why it was pulled off. That was before I got here. But I did ask for the organizational chart. And organizational charts are good, but they're only good if they're tied to position control. That's why you actually have, you know, position control. They have to align. And so we did a lot of work with staff. I just want to present what we actually have currently. And we're still working through these. Every day somebody gets hired on or leaves, you know, so we've got to find a way to ensure. Right now it's Rosie and our staff at the front desk that are managing this right now, but it will be handed over to the new HR person that comes on board, because they'll handle part of position control along with Mrs. Marsh and her team there. So next page. So as of October 28th, I just want to make sure the staffing numbers, 141 employees in certificated, classified 160, 32 unrepresented, and 1 confidential, and 30 represent managers, etc., other people on that list. I'm just going to go through these org charts rather quickly. If you've got questions, please let me know. We'll go to the first one here. This is the Office of the Superintendent. Next. Yep, there. What you have there is I'm responsible for all the principals, the Chief Academic Officer, the Chief Business Officer, the Senior Human Resources Administrator will report to me until I have the confidence that we'll align it right back over to Mrs. Marsh and her team. And then Rosie, and of course, the district community liaison that's also picking up another piece of this community communication and transparency, the website, right? This person will also help us with the website and get communication pieces out there. The next slide you'll see is the in total group of the Ed Services Department, and what you'll see there on the left-hand side is Mr. James Barnes and the people that are in his division, and then people on the right are some of our. I'm sorry. Yeah, James Barnes on the left-hand side. On the right-hand side, it's our assistant principal and special assignment. Sort of a weird term, but it's Deanna Tower, and who she oversees and supports as well. And then 1 administrative assistant, Josefina Infanzon. So that's the Ed Services side. It's pretty small team, and I will say last year it was basically Leticia, so we were able to add this year that vice principal and special assignment. Next slide. On the business side, it's pretty clear. MOT division, and it's got all the maintenance grounds guys. Technology division, and I will say technology is one we need to take a look at. Everything continues to grow, the number of devices, the number of things that we do with technology, all things being internet, our lighting systems, our phone systems, voice over IP. We keep adding things to this, but that crew never gets any larger, right? So we really need to take a look at this. And Mrs. Marsh and I have been talking about how to look at that and budget that in the future here. And then, of course, our fiscal services side, our construction, Drew paid for out of the bond, a little bit out of general fund for safety, and then, of course, our food services division. And we contribute about $300,000 to And I know that we need to look at that food services piece. It's a low-hanging fruit, but it's a high-hanging fruit at the same time. So I've heard from the community. We want to take a look. I think we have another year with our contract, and we'll start to look at what that might look like here in the near future. The next slide has human resources, small little team. The human resources specialist and the office technician. We actually have three of the four people there are going to be new. We've got two people in the that are going to be retiring. So the most senior person in that division, or in that division, will be Eric Perez, who started with us in May of last year. So I've been doing a lot of work in HR lately, wearing two hats, right? And then as you start looking at the high school, you'll see the high school. Actually, this starts with Hatch Elementary. You've got Hatch's Elementary principals have gone through this. Next slide is El Granada. We've gone through this as well. Fairlawn View is there. Kings Mountain. And then, of course, Cunha Intermediate, Half Moon Bay High School. And we've accounted for everybody. And we have missed a couple. I mean, even when we've seen them 3 or 4 times over, we've missed a couple. Piedrecitos Continuation High School, or Alternative Ed, and then La Costa Adult School. And some people are here multiple times because they've got additional assignments in case those are, or if they're interims and they're moving, itinerant, if they're moving from one site to the other. They're also listed on both sites. The last couple, Los Listos, and although Rosalba is at Hatch, Los Listos is also on the Hatch campus, she still has her hand in that piece as well, from an accounting and instructional piece, along with Graciela, and then the interim expanded learning supervisor, Cecilia Gutierrez, is working with that in the afternoon, and it's been working out well. So you see the expanded learning program there. When you go to the Dolphin Club at El Granada, we've got an interim person supporting us there, Matthew Spiegelman, and Ceci's working with him and that team there. And then we look at the very last page, and these are grant-funded positions or donations from PTOs as well, right? We didn't put them on the school sites because these are day-to-day, not year-to-year things that we look at. But you'll see, as an example, the PE teachers, the science specialist at Kings Mountain, and some of the other grants that we received, the federal grants for Department of Rehabilitation and Workability piece, the advisor for real life learning, although they're assigned to the high school, right? They're on this chart here just so we keep track of the grants that are there. And we're working with our association leadership to make sure that when we post this, we're going to take out the names, we'll post them on the website, but this will be an internal piece that any staff member will know where exactly they go. So we'll keep 2 charts running. Any questions regarding organizational charts?
Just as a comment, just a thank you. And I just want to say publicly that this is something that we talked about last spring, and Dr. Miramontes was supportive of it from the beginning. And so I know this has been a long process, and I really thank you for working on it, getting it done, and all the people that contributed to it. And hopefully we can continue to build on it and keep it updated, and it will be a resource for the community going forward. So thank you.
Right.
And just to clarify, we did have one in the past, but it's nice to have an updated one, so.
Yeah, and I've seen those from the past. We actually used that, actually Rosie was the one who found it for us. She said, let me go back. And so we looked at it, and we want to build off of that. But again, the important piece is not just having the org chart, but making sure that what we had in HR also matched our financials and position control. That's the more important piece. All right, next PowerPoint talks about strengthening communication and community engagement. And you know, I think this is a hard one because no matter what you do, somebody says you don't communicate enough, right? And I will just say this board, it's tough being a board member. I know it is. And you have your constituents out there. I've actually met with some of the groups out there The PTO group, for example, is a group of leaders within the community that can actually send that message out there, right? And I've appreciated meeting with them. I've met with Mary Beth has a strong group of people that she meets with as well, from Oceans Colony and the mobile home park right next door, and I know that we're all connected to some sort of group here or there, right? Everybody is, and so when we talk about how do we improve that, it really just comes down to being visible, making sure that we're all saying the same thing. We're not always going to agree on everything. Obviously, tonight we saw some things that we didn't agree with, and that's okay. You know, that makes a healthy board. As somebody mentioned, not everybody's rubber stamping things. You know, we work as a governance team. So how do we strengthen community? The website's going to be a big thing. We're working on the website, and it takes time, right? Typically, when you do a new website, IT just takes it, and they move it over, and it's done. They take the old stuff and put it on the new template, but nobody updates it. So that's going to be a big piece. So I'll go through this. Our purpose today is to reaffirm the board's commitment to open, transparent communication, share a vision for stronger connections with all district partners, and begin the collaborative process of a governance team resolution, a public piece that says, this is what we're going to be doing, right? So the background and why communication matters, right? It's to build trust, collaboration, and accountability. It's to be clear, consistent, and inclusive dialogue. You know, as you've mentioned here, you've got constituents that talk to you all the time. They have questions. The contractor, right? We want to make sure that we're not just 5 people individually, but we report to the people that have elected us to be part of this. And then ultimately that our district thrives when all voices students. I love the fact that Martin thanked us for, and Maverick gave some input about the CAS, right? Our student voices have to be heard. Our families, our students, and community members all heard and valued, right? Who we communicate with, next slide. We all have our internal partners. We have our management team, district office staff, site leadership, et cetera, et cetera. It's funny because, you know, it's such a small community, and it's. I think when El Granada lost water one day, Brianna was like quick. I mean, like I don't know how quick she is, but somebody told Brianna because I got a text from Brianna that said, "There's no water at El Granada." So I text Aaron, the principal, and she says, "Wait a minute. There's no water there?" And that was like 2 minutes after you had found out. I texted her, and she's like, "Wait a minute." I said, "Well, I found out from my board member." So word travels fast, right? But we have the internal and extra, and just so everybody knows for the record, Brianna happened to be in the front office picking up her daughter. So that's how she found out. But my point being is we have internal partners that we work with, and then we have the external ones, the parents and the families that are connected to us. Our community members are making an effort to be out in the community. Our Rotarians, our Lions Group, everybody else is out there, the nonprofit and civic organizations. We need them to build a stronger educational program overall, right? Our nonprofits and then the local business and taxpayers. This community was fantastic. They passed a partial tax and a bond, but we also, I think, owe them some form of, and I want to do a district-wide state of the district address, looking at what the best time is, right? So that we bring these people in, we fill this room, and we go over what we've been doing and where we're going as a governance team and as a district. Our guiding principles, again, and I took this from input from board members, transparency and our board goals as well. Transparency, accessibility, consistency, collaboration, and equity. Those are all guiding principles that I think we would want for all our employees, students, staff, and families. The next slide is the alignment to the mission statement. I won't read this, but you know how this initiative supports the mission. It strengthens two-way communication, right? It builds shared understandings and goals, and enhances community trust and involvement in district priorities. I want to be at school sites. I want to be out in the community, and I think when people see me there, I think they feel like, holy smokes, and I learned that early by just going to watch a basketball game that I thought our girls are doing pretty well, I should go watch. And people were like, nobody ever comes to these things at the cabinet level, right? Jenny invited me to the Future Farmers of America. Pete, you were there. Carmen, you were there as well. And Lisette, you were there. I could tell you how that was a packed house. It was a great, great event. So we need to do a better job of making sure that we're accessible and attending these communities just like our principals are. The current communication channels right now, currently we have a website, school newsletters, board meetings and agendas, parent square, community forums and school site councils, social media, Monday memos. That's something that it's new for our board. We give them updates every week on different things that are happening in the area of ed services, human resources, and business services. And so we make sure that we give the board updates so they're not surprised. Last thing I want is our board members to say, hey, by the way, did you know this? We try and anticipate things that people might know. And then the other pieces, this came from Rosie, the board bits, right? Board bits are a piece of just board policy that, may talk about the Brown Act, so we understand the Brown Act, may talk about our communication, whatever it might be, but it's all about an opportunity for our board members to sort of grow as they become better, stronger board members. Short-term opportunities for us, areas identified for improvement, unified messaging and branding across schools, expanded multilingual communication. I love the fact that Christian, is starting to reach out to our Latino families, and he's been Spanish-speaking families, and he's been reaching out with Victor, and they're co-partnering. I actually happened to be at the SIPA meeting last week at Cunha, and for the first time, I think in a long time, there were almost half and half of Spanish-speaking families, and the SIPA was really proud of it, the leadership of SIPA, right? But I probably contribute that to Rosalba being on that campus as well and trying to pull people in and say, you're part of this, right? And they were there, and our interpreters were there, so that multilingual communication is really important. The increased transparency of board actions and decisions. I keep hearing, I want it on the record, let me help me understand, and then, from our board members, so it is on the record, people do understand. Stronger feedback loops between schools and community. I mean, that's always going to be our challenge, to making sure that we're in the loop, and then clearly define responsibilities between what the board does and what our administrative team does as well. And then long-term opportunity for growth. We've talked about a scheduled board retreat. We have one. I think it's in January. So thank you to the board members. It'll be a Saturday. It'll be open to the public. We'll talk about define the board and superintendent responsibilities, and we'll talk about what our goals are, right? If one of the goals is to have turf fields at every school site, we'll put that on there. You guys can measure me on those goals, right? So we'll establish board goals and protocols to focus on stakeholder engagement. We'll identify measurable outcomes and accountability checkpoints. As mentioned tonight, when Andy talked about that presentation, he was really saddened by the results that he saw that, and I'm glad it hit him well. So I said, what's going on? He said, well, our results aren't what I expected. We really worked hard, and I believe they really did. But I also believe there's that piece of as Maverick said, my math teacher really wanted to grade this and wanted to see what I was doing, right? You got to have that from everybody. Everybody's got to be able to, I don't want to say it negatively, but everybody's got to pull their weight, and so we got to make sure it's happening. And then develop a formal board resolution affirming the district's commitment to communication excellence, right? And then when we come back a year from January, between January and March, what I would recommend to the board is do a board self-evaluation. Ask yourselves, did we communicate well, right? And when I say us, a governance team, did we communicate well? So again, my thing is I'm recommending to the board that we have this discussion now, we develop a governance team resolution on communication, and perhaps we bring that to our board study session or sooner. We update board policies and bylaws that support improved engagement. We'll look at that, Rosie and I'll look at those. And we will begin drafting goals related to communication and transparency. I will say, Jennifer Marsh, when I sit in those budget advisory, I don't say a whole lot. I try not to. But just seeing Jennifer on stage with the budget advisory, and I heard they were painful in the past, right? For whatever reason, but when she presents, people have great questions. They're not questioning her, because I think she's built that trust there. They're just questioning, how might we do things differently? How might we budget this or that? Which are good discussions, right? When last year we did the activity and we gave everybody tickets and say, what are your priorities? People went around the room, put their priorities there. Again, that's inclusiveness, bringing that piece in. But I give Jennifer a lot of credit for building that financial, and again, it always helps that the board, the old board or this board, whoever did, adopted the policy or adopted the approved the Fund 40, move it over. So it always helps when you have that money that you can pump in there. That was a great starting point. But what I will say, that was a starting point. But Jennifer's continued effort, her team's effort to make sure that they're as transparent as they can be, and people will still question that, right? I don't think she's gained everybody's 100% confidence, but I think she's getting there, and that's okay. We're never going to please everybody. And then we'll begin again. I would like the board to start thinking about the master of governance for professional learning as you grow as board members, and as a governance team. I myself took them, and I had to take them up in Monterey because I wanted to make sure that I had those done as soon as possible. So I went up to Monterey for 5 weeks in a row, or I forgot when it was, in 5 months, because I want to know my role as a superintendent. I knew what it was, but I also want the certificate to say, and I've done your course as well. These are now offered online. They're free. You can do them at your own pace, but it is a valuable piece because it helps you understand your role. So when people say, tell me about this or that, and I've heard people say, well, I trust Dr. Ramirez, or that's his role, or that's the administration piece, and so I appreciate that, the public piece. But again, as we expect teachers to become lifelong learners and classified staff, and we're trying to provide PD for them, seek input from them, what do they think? I think I would advise our board that, even one course a year, over 4 years, you would have 4 of the 5, right? And then, of course, the big conference that's coming up, and I know that Brianna had asked me what courses I should take. I said, yeah, one on we talked about finances, right? Where the federal and the state sees financial outlooks, that's a huge one. We talked about board evaluation, or superintendent evaluation would be another one, would be a great one. And just new board members. There's a whole training for new board members. I know that, Lisette, you're going to be going to the training on becoming a board president, right? As she moves over, I know, you got one more meeting left. And you've done a wonderful job, right? So there's opportunities for us to continue to grow so that we can continue to share with the community what we're doing. I do want to say, I know this board has a lot of different people out there that give them input, so your voice does matter. We invite ongoing input from all our district state partners. I see every month we've got our partner from ALAS that sits in the back, and she's always here, and we've had conversations, and we need them in order for our students to succeed. And again, together, us as a governance team, trust, engagement, and shared purpose will move our students forward. So effective communication is the bridge between vision and action. And so I want to be one of those people that shows action. It was a quick presentation. Really, the important thing is the discussion that I want to hear from you, if you've got anything to add, or if you want to wait until the board study session that comes up in January. And I do want to thank Pete for, this was on your radar as well, and you want to talk a little bit about this and how might we do this better, right? It's always great to see how we might do things better. I think we're doing a good job, but we can always do a better job.
Thank you for that. Yeah, this is a priority of mine, and I appreciate that we're talking about it tonight. I hope it's the beginning of many different conversations with the board. One of my hopes is that we start to utilize these board meetings in a different way, where we have more conversations and discussions about things that are that impact the district. I got some great advice from a senior board member who I check in from time to time. And he said the way he thinks about his work is that the superintendent's job is to run the district on a day-to-day basis, and the board's job is to oversee the district and make sure that philosophically everyone's on the same page, and they don't always have to agree, but that they're having those conversations. And so that's what I would like us to do. I think transparency is critical for many reasons. Making sure that we're in compliance in the way that we need to make sure that we're running efficiently and things like that. But the big thing is that we're building trust with the community. And so that's the main thing that I hope comes out of these conversations as we have them. Just a couple things that I want to put out there, and that I think we can talk about down the road. Dr. Miramontes talked about the retreat. I think that's going to be key to get us sort of in the right place, and then we can come back and have a conversation in February or March again about this. And then maybe a year from now, we're in a better place in terms of changing bylaws, setting things in place around transparency. But some of the things I'd like to put out there are to sort of explore expectations around communications with district employees, teachers, board members. The most common complaint I get is that people don't respond to to emails. And I think sometimes that's not fair because people have different expectations about the speed of email. And then maybe somebody thinks they sent an email and they didn't, and there's all those kind of things. But I also think it is legitimate that sometimes it is a case that somebody has sent an email and it just disappears into space. And that's something that we can work on. It's a small thing, but it makes a big difference because people want to feel heard. Dr. Miramontes, you talked about the website. I think that is a critical piece, and I'm glad that we're devoting time to it, so thank you. Other things I'd like to talk about as a group is, again, district-wide, what do we think about processes in terms of setting that up so that the community is aware of what we're doing? What are our goals with these processes? Who's involved? Who makes the decision? So one of the things that comes up often is that people disagree with me that they feel like I should push back on Dr. Miramontes about a particular decision. And I'm careful to say, it's his job to run the district. And so he needs to make those decisions, and I can ask him questions. That's not my role to micromanage him. People aren't happy with that. But it's important that they know that they have an understanding that that's his job and this is my job. And so the more we can talk about that with the community, the less misunderstanding there will be and the more we can manage expectations. Then I talked a little bit about how we work together. I do want to use these meetings for more discussions. I know that's hard to do. Like tonight, we're coming up on 3 hours. I know we're all tired, but trying to make time for these public discussions so that the community can hear what we think and where we're headed in a particular decision, I think is really important. And then other things, how do we agendize items? I think that's something that we should talk about at the retreat. Because that's a critical piece. Agendizing items is one of the tools that board members have to bring concerns. And then lastly, I agree with Dr. Miramontes. We should be thinking about self-assessment. How do we assess whether or not we as a board are doing a good job? We expect that from our district employees. We expect that from Dr. Miramontes, that we're going to do some sort of assessment to make sure that the job's being done right. We should do the same thing with ourselves. So, thank you.
I only have one thing to add to that, and I've talked about this before, but, we move as a group too, right? You need 3 votes it's not each one of us are managing things, we're managing things as a group. So that also makes it's hard for people to understand, why don't you do this? And you're like, well, we work as a group, so.
I was just going to say thank you for sharing that, Mary Beth, because between the Brown Act and reading emails, which good for other people to do. No, it's hard. The communication piece is really hard, and there's a lot of rules around what we can say to each other on non-public times. So,
which is it. Oh, sorry. That's why the importance of these meetings as an area where we can have these discussions is critical, because I do think it's hard for people to understand we can't talk to each other about school business outside of these meetings. You can talk to one other person, but we're very limited. And so this is our opportunity. And so it's important for the community to know that.
And for the record, for superintendents, it's like herding cats, right? It really is. And sometimes you've got bobcats, kitty cats, cougars like Half Moon Bay, right? But I will say I do appreciate this board because their heart's in the right place. They really are. It's a great board, and I feel honored to be your superintendent, right? And so again, the goal here is just how do we do this better? So our commitment to people out there is we're going to do this better. Thank you.
All right, that takes us to our next item, 4B, proposal to set annual organizational meeting on Thursday, December 11th, 2025, during the scheduled regular board meeting.
That's exactly what it is. It's the organizational meeting for the board, and we're asking it to be on the same day, December 11th.
So moved.
I'll second that.
What is that? What is an organizational meeting? What do you, I don't familiar with the term.
Rosie, do you want to answer that?
Yes, that's when we elect the president, vice president, clerk, committees. We approve the meetings calendar.
I've been through this meeting one other time. I just didn't know that's what it was called. Got it.
And governing board says the governing code said that at this meeting we have to set the day for the organizational meeting. More questions? All right. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. Passes 5-0.
Right. Oh my. Number 5, communications. I think we have a public comment. So, Amber, come on down.
Okay. I'm going to try and make my comment quicker since this went longer than expected. So I wanted to say that I really appreciate the board's commitment to working on improving the communication within our district. Because for many years, both internal and external communication from CUSD has been really disjointed and inconsistent. And it creates a lot of frustration for staff. It creates a lot of frustration for parents and community stakeholders and for all of you as governing board members as well. So my hope is that as you guys work through this process, you're going to walk away with something that is a tangible plan on how communication can be improved. I think there are a lot of low-hanging fruit areas that could make a big difference in moving the needle pretty quickly. And I think that hopefully you guys are going to be open to some input and some listening from staff and community. For a number of years, as we've been challenged with staff and the challenges we face with pay rates and all of those things, one thing I have asked staff consistently is what else makes them feel respected as educators within our district. And one thing they have said consistently is being communicated with by the district before information goes to families, so that they are not caught off guard with families approaching them with questions before they've even had a chance to understand the communication about whatever the issue or the situation might be. So that's a pretty low-hanging piece of fruit that could resolve some challenges for a lot of people, and make it easier for everybody to be on the same page, right? Staff, district office, parents, everybody. The other thing that I'm hoping is that you guys will take an opportunity to listen to the community and to the staff about where the gaps are. Because if you take the time to ask those questions, they could tell you pretty easily. It's not like a hard thing that's going to have to be really gone into. Like, they're pretty surface level about a lot of different communication channels that can be confusing, a lot of repetitive communication, which you always have to tell them what you said, tell them again, right, to catch everybody. I understand that, but there's also an issue with inundating with so much communication that the parents and community start to tune out and look away. So it's also really about striking a balance. So I hope when you guys are thinking about this communication plan and how we can improve, that you'll take into consider some of those items so that it really does become a tangible plan for improvement. So, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention my good friend Kendra Holland over there. In the words of Vanilla Ice, the best approach would be to stop, collaborate, and listen, because the community can tell you where the gaps are already.
Thank you. That takes us to item 5B, employee organization reports. We have the Cabrillo Unified Teachers Association representative. Nope. Okay. That takes us to number 2 then, California School Employee Association representative. Good evening, Paul.
I'll hit the button. There we go. Hi, you all. It's been a while since I've been here. High school volleyball schedule is Tuesday, Thursday nights, so this is my first opportunity to come back and visit with you guys. I'm Paul Harrison. I'm a paraprofessional at the high school. I'm the vice president of our local CSEA, Chapter 485. I just want to give you guys an update of what's been going on with us. We've recently reformed and strengthened our executive board. It's largely the same individuals. Shane Medina is our president. He's a maintenance worker. I'm the vice president. Lisa Schick is the secretary. She's an expanded learning professional at Hatch. Steve Goldberg will continue to be the treasurer. He's office technician. And we have a new member who is our communications director, which is Ellie Murillo, who is the community liaison at Hatch. We've also recently, just this past week, completed our first on-site voting process for MOUs, agreements, tentative agreements. In the past, we voted at the meeting, and that was the only way members could vote. Now, members can vote over the course of 3 days at work sites. We had a great turnout for that. Great, and the fact that it was the largest turnout we've had for contracts and agreements in years since I've been involved, for sure. We had 58 members vote and participate. Both agreements passed, which is encouraging to see increased engagement from our membership. I also want to thank Dr. Ramon Miramontes and Jennifer for their participation in a recent negotiations meeting. Our team truly appreciated your presence and input. Also want to acknowledge the climate around negotiations that has changed significantly and positively compared to previous years. We are now experiencing a much more collaborative and solution-oriented process. This shift matters, and I just want to thank you guys for creating that environment. Appreciate it. Having said that, I also want to speak to the reality that's facing many of our members. CSEA represents, our local represents some of the lowest paid school employees in the county. And for many of our members, health insurance costs will be increasing by 7% this year. At the same time, several neighboring districts not only offer higher wages, but also provide full family benefits or dramatically better healthcare contributions. I know none of this is news to any of you. This has been a long-standing challenge for this district, but a 7% increase on an already strained workforce is not sustainable for many of our members. It represents a potential and real tipping point, pushing dedicated, long-serving employees to leave Cabrillo for districts that can offer more financial stability. These are people, who keep our schools operating every day. our paraeducators, custodians, office staff, food service workers, transportation, maintenance. We can't afford to lose those people. My hope is that in our next negotiations meetings, we can continue the positive momentum we've started and make real significant progress toward addressing this difficult situation, not only for the sake of our members, but for the overall health of the district as well. That's really all I have. I just want to thank you guys for your time and look forward to seeing you down the road.
Thank you, Paul. All right. This takes us to item 6, the consent agenda. Items listed under the consent agenda are of a routine nature and are not anticipated for board discussion. The superintendent recommends their approval. If any board member requests a removal of an item from the consent agenda, it shall be taken off and individually considered as a regular agenda item. The consent agenda requires a motion, a second, and approval by a roll call vote. Each item approved by the governing board on the consent agenda is considered in full and adopted as recommended.
We need a motion and a
All right,
second.
got a motion?
So move. Oh, sorry.
I'll second.
Yeah.
It's me. Yep.
Now we're gonna do the roll call vote. Carmen?
Aye.
Lisette?
Aye.
Pete?
Aye.
Brianna?
Aye.
Mary Beth?
Aye.
Passes 5-0.
All right, this takes us to item 7, governing board reports. Who would like to go first?
I'll go. It was a busy month and it's late, so I don't want to go over everything. But I attended the community circle put on by Lauren Hicks and team. And one of the questions that they asked in that circle is, about hearing our students and children. And so I just really want to emphasize that as decision makers, that it would be great to get next to our not like your personal children, but like students as much as possible. I think when students know your face and see you, they're more likely to feel comfortable talking to you, bringing up, and really what's going on. I absolutely trust the leadership in this district, but I want to know, what is it from the horse's mouth, how students are feeling, because the decisions we're making are for them. So I did the challenge day. I did my 4th challenge day at the high school. I guess that was last week. It was great to hear that Maverick was positive feedback. I think that is a significant way to get around a large group of students and really see and hear what is really going on with students right now. Cunha's is coming up in December. I don't think it's when we have our AEC or whatever it is. The conference is, I forget, I think it might be the following week. But they always need volunteers. Whether or not you do it when you have a child there is your family's personal preference. I started doing this when my kids were in elementary school so that when my kids were at Cunha, other people could do it with them. So I highly recommend getting alongside our students as much as possible. I acknowledge that I have the luxury of a very flexible job. So there's a lot of things that I'm able to do. But the community circle was one evening. I didn't know what our district was doing. What is a community circle? Really? We can read it on paper, but sitting there, was a whole different experience. I thought I was showing up for one thing and it was something else. So I highly recommend getting involved. And then a big discussion item that was brought to me from several different sources was school meals. are subpar, and that there is a very passionate group that I think it started at the Wellness Committee, and then I was in the Environmental Sustainability Committee meeting where it was brought up also. So I would like that to be at our forefront, especially with the kitchen, like plans. And Newsom has I don't think it's till like 2030 that has to go into effect, but what is our plan to get rid of ultra processed foods? So I just think there's some forethought and discussion that needs to be had with that. So that's my update. Tomorrow's Ruby Bridges Day. So even if you can't walk to school, or just I think making sure your children know who she is, and remembering she's still here. She's still alive, like very much here. Acknowledging Ruby Bridges tomorrow. That'd be great.
Thank you. Anybody else?
And go. Just some San Mateo County School Board Association stuff. My hair's stuck in my nail. Stuff coming up. The second quarter meeting, they changed it. So it's going to be, instead of the end of November, it's going to be December 8th, 6:30 to 8:30. And it's going to be focused on CTE program alignment with local career needs and countywide opportunities for collaboration.
I think they updated that. They moved that one to January.
Again?
Yeah. So
Oh, I didn't
December
see
8th is still a meeting, but it's going to be, I think it was
Oh, the
today or
CTE.
yesterday.
Oh, okay, I didn't
CT
see that.
is moving to January, and then it's finance is what they're focused on.
On December 8th?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay, great. Carmen and I are going to go. Carmen's going. I don't know who else is going. You're in, right? So that's coming up, and that sounds really interesting. And are they doing the legislative update too?
Yes, it's going to be yeah.
Yes.
No, it's the legislative
update.
Okay. Will be December 8th, and then I think it's January 11th.
Is the CTE?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Good. I'm glad we clarified that. Better read my email today. And so, yeah, I think the legislative update will be interesting too. So anyway, that's going to be December 8th then. And then tomorrow is a happy hour to meet other board members. So if you want to hear what's happening in other districts, you want to talk about something, you have concerns, like it's a great place to meet other board members from other districts, since, as we talked about, it's hard for us to talk to each other sometimes because of the Brown Act. So anyway, that's going on tomorrow. And then I wanted to also talk about survey stuff. Sometimes we get stuff for surveys. The Legislative Advocacy Committee has a survey out, so they are asking to get feedback on that, just so they know what kind of advocacy we want at the state level for the legislature this year. So please look at that. And along those lines of survey stuff, there was also an email we got from some researchers from USC looking for input from board members for some research they're doing about, the problems we're having, what can we do to help, what kind of legislation are we looking for, all kinds of stuff. But I really feel like these are important to do because, I'm super data driven, and these people are doing the research on what we need to be doing here in our state. So anyway, I met with them. They were super fascinating, actually, and sent me some information, stuff I didn't know. I sent them some stuff they didn't. It was really good to do. So anyway, do look out for those things. I think it helps everyone to be better. And then the Kent Awards are coming up, just to give you a heads up, not until the spring, but that's an annual award ceremony. They're also looking for help to do it. So anyway, that's coming up in May. So that was kind of my date update. And there is one other thing. On the 19th in the afternoon, an inside look at the November policy update packet. So all the new policy stuff that came out from the state. So that's coming up. And then I'm looking forward to going to our annual education conference. I think it'll be fun. I think the new people will be amazed how much you can learn and see and do and talk about, and just you get lots of new ideas and all this stuff going on. So we've been there, we know, and it'll be well worth it. So, and Brianna, that's great. You're asking for what to do or see, because there's a lot to choose from, you know. Sometimes last year, we were like, let's split up for this one because there were two we wanted to hear about and, you know, kind of update each other. One would really good, we'd both go. So it's good. It's a lot of info. And it's a lot of time. So, you know, it's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I think. And then I got to be there on Monday, Tuesday for state delegate work. So I'll be up there all week. So, yeah, it's a lot of commitment, but I think it'll be worth it. So, I just wanted to thank Dr. Miramontes for all the work he's doing. I know he's been working super hard, and I want to publicly acknowledge that. And not just him, but all his staff. And by all his staff, I don't just mean the district office staff. I mean all the administrators, all the principals, all the teachers, CSEA, everyone. So I feel like things are really clipping along. I know everyone's really working hard, and there's a lot of stuff going on. So I just want to acknowledge that, and I want to acknowledge your leadership because I'm really glad you're here, and I know you're working super hard. So thank you for that. And on top of it, you're also covering the HR job. So I know that is a more than full-time job. So I know that's not easy. So I want to acknowledge that. And then I just want to keep it's always out there, you know, if any of the community ever wants to meet or talk, you know, send me an email, we can text, whatever. I'm happy to sit down and have coffee or whatever. So do reach out if you want to talk, even if you just want to talk about, you know, not anything in particular, but kind of the general direction or things that are going on. I'm happy to talk about it. Believe me, my friends are sick and tired of hearing about school board stuff, so they will be super happy if I talk to someone else about it. But that's all I have, so thank you.
I could go. I don't really have anything to share. This month has been very low key. There's like a bug going around, so everybody beware. It's coming. And I got it from my daughter who got it from school. So it's out there. Stay healthy, drink vitamins, rest, and more importantly, try not to stress on things you have no control over. Just, you know, it's also important to be mentally stable as well. I appreciate, like Mary Beth said, and as you guys are all here, I always appreciate your guys' input, your dedication, your time, and more importantly, your communication to us. It's always important to hear, you know, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and more importantly, what as your expertise on whatever that subject is, what do you recommend? Not because it makes you look good or whatnot, but just for the better of the district and the families. So I want to say thank you to everybody. Y normalmente siempre empiezo en español, pero he estado un poquito fuera de onda, he estado enferma. Hay algo que está, un virus, algo está pasando. Cuídense porque les va a tocar si no se cuidan. Yo lo agarré de mi hija lo agarró en la escuela y con mucho gusto se lo pasé a mi esposo. Entonces, es algo que está pasando, pero cuídense mucho en estos tiempos. Yo siempre les quiero dar la gracia a todos los que están aquí presentes por su tiempo, su dedicación, y más importante por la información que nos dan, porque a veces no es nada más saber lo que está pasando, sino saber lo que está pasando, tener una opinión de un experto y darnos una recomendación, y eso siempre es muy importante porque aunque nosotros estemos aquí enfrente una vez al mes, ustedes están ahí día al día. Muchas gracias por toda la dedicación, el trabajo y todo lo que hacen para la comunidad y nuestros hijos. Este mes no hice mucho, pero sí siempre hago una cosa u otra que pueda hacer para ayudar a los de la comunidad, y ya saben, siempre están más que bienvenidos a preguntarme preguntas. Mi familia ya no quiere ir conmigo a veces a la tienda porque dicen que duro mucho, platico con todo el mundo, pero si esa es la oportunidad, por favor aprovechenla, y yo con mucho gusto estoy ahí para escucharlos, y si hay algo que puedo hacer, con mucho gusto lo haría. Buenas noches.
Pete, do you want to share?
Go ahead.
Okay, I have a very short. It's been a crazy week. but I did attend the CCSDO GBR meeting. And for those of you who don't know what that is the, I have to read it, the County Committee on School District Organization. I'm not a member, just to make that clear, but I was representing Cabrillo, and I got to vote for the representatives. And if you're wondering who draws those lines that decide who goes into what district, it's that committee, and they do take public comment. So I learned a lot. And thank you, Rosie, for texting me, reminding me to go to that. So thank you. Yeah.
I don't have much to say beyond what I talked about in the transparency piece, but I do want to acknowledge that Dr. Miramontes has been doing the human resource work and also his regular job. Hopefully that's coming to an end soon, but thank you for taking that on. Yeah, that's it. And then, yeah, I guess one last thing is the other night we had a conversation with our kids about Ruby Bridges. And that was a powerful conversation with our kids, because it made me realize my kids have no concept of discrimination. You know, they might see it and not be aware of it in a school or something like that, but in general they don't. And so to have those conversations that let them know that other people have different experiences is really important. So.
All right, for my report, it'll be really quick. Today is World Kindness Day, so you might be seeing kindergartners, you might have seen kindergartners with capes on. So we gave every kindergartner in the district a kindergarten hero cape. And so we asked teachers to work on just that whole concept. There's nothing more beautiful than the kindness that our kindergartners show each other. So congrats to our teachers and classified staff members that are in those classrooms each and every day. And then as we approach the Thanksgiving season here, I just want to put it out there. Thankful for our students, our families, our staff, our nonprofit agencies, our PTOs, and my family that's down south. That allows me to do this. Super thankful, and I look forward to finishing out November, December, and then starting the second part of the school year. So thank you, everybody.
All right, thank you. That takes us to item 8, our closed session. We are discussing conference with our labor negotiations. That's Government Code Section 54957.6. Do we have any public comments on that? All right. All right, then we are going to adjourn to our closed session.